introductions in the Raspiblitz in general. And if you want to see what is the Raspiblitz project about in general, there's a great recording of Bitcoin Magazine where I gave you a good overview. This time we want to jump a little bit more deeper into some focused topics. And the first one is like, because we are very community focused, how can I contribute to the Raspiblitz project and be a part of this project? The second part will be done by OpenArms. That's giving us a deeper look into JoinMarket. That's an app that you can run on the Raspiblitz and have your market there. And there's a third part we want to highlight a little bit like a feature set that's quite very new in development. It's doing Lightning vouchers and merchant onboarding with the Raspiblitz, so really utilizing your Raspiblitz for your local community. And in the beginning of that section, we will go a little bit deeper into the IP2Tor and Let's Encrypt setup that you need to do this so that people in your community can easily reach your services that you're hosting from home. So I think when we're ready, we can jump to part one, right? Okay, so first point, like contributing to the Raspiblitz development, or just like first take a look because at the GitHub page, because if you want to have a quick jump, you can go to raspiblitz.org. It's just a simple site that gives you some quick links, and the major link there that you will find is the link to our GitHub page. And this is kind of where we coordinate, where we develop. I think it's very usual for a lot of open source projects. And as you can see, like we have a lot of people like contributing here. We have about now 1,000 people kind of start the project. So at least shortly looked at it and liked it. That's very great. We already see over 200 forks where people just maybe checked the code out and wanted to maybe poke a little bit on it. And there is, as you see, can you see on the contributor side, almost 80 people contributed stuff. It's not everybody that much stuff. It can also be a typo maybe that we fixed or something, but you can see we really like to have people integrating their ideas or realizing their ideas with the Raspiblitz project. I think because compared a little bit to the other node projects, it's the most kind of do-it-yourself, the most open to the developer community to experiment and learn the whole setup of Bitcoin and Lightning. So the basic stuff, so to contribute to the Raspiblitz project is to set up a GitHub account at least. So this is kind of minimum you should do. So then, and the basic stuff is like we mostly communicate on development over the issues. So there can be different kind of issues. We will take a look at them closely. So if you want to start a communication, or if you have an idea or something, this is the place to go. Create a GitHub account, and then go here to the Raspiblitz project, and then just create an issue and ask a question about something, and then we will sort it out which direction to go for you from there. So and first of all, you don't need to be a programmer to join. So there's a lot of stuff we can offer. I think the Raspiblitz project offers to you to also participate in here without having big programmer skills. But of course, if you're a programmer and your bash shell scripts, Unix systems or Linux system is good known to you, and maybe some Python and JavaScript skills for web front-end stuff, that's a perfect setup. So if you really can contribute there. But let me show you a little bit what are the levels of contributions. So we try to make a small step in the beginning, and then maybe more and more skills you have on the programming side, you're very much invited to level up on the contribution side. So just quick overview. The first thing is just testing, report, discuss. This is a lot of benefit here. You're just running a Raspiblitz, and gives you feedback on the Raspiblitz project itself or on the additional apps there. Then you can start to experiment because this is a very open system that feels a little bit like a Unix Linux server in your home. So really log into the machine and get onto terminal and find your way there, experiment, install stuff, try to tweak it. So this is the experiment phase you can do. Then you can first start to turn your experiment a little bit more into an install script, just a simple shell script to structure a little bit the outcome of your experiment and make it more and more easier to have it kind of an automated script to install a service or change a setting. From there, we want to show you a little bit like how you can integrate a little bit more into the Raspiblitz and then maybe really contribute back a script that also other people can use. This is then the part where you form it into a config script. And then if this kind of matured a bit and feels good for everybody, then we can more and more integrate it also in the kind of user visible parts, the SSH GUI, or even then later on what will be a little bit more future out view to integrate it into a web GUI for the Raspiblitz. So let's go through this different levels we see here and give you an overview how to contribute. Again, the basic intro is testing, report, discuss. So you just run a Raspiblitz and you try out the apps that are running on the Raspiblitz that are available already, or maybe even take a look at the config scripts and try to get them running. The skills are very basic here. It's really user level, no programming skills needed. You need to be a little bit technically interested because the Raspiblitz is a project that that isn't kind of doesn't start from the consumer perspective. It really starts a little bit more from the geeky, the people that like to run tech, and especially some services from their home, run a Bitcoin node from home, and like a little bit have a tinkering interest here. Early adopters, people that like to give feedback on stuff. So what you can do is, of course, if you see something that could work better, and sure, there's a lot of stuff that could work better, please feel free to go to the GitHub, create an issue, and this is mostly then a feature request. Or would it be nice that if this can do that, or if this would be changed in the other kind of way? You just describe a little bit what you saw, and then you freely try to express what you like to see. I have to warn you, we cannot, it's not an order list. So if you write something, don't expect it will automatically be implemented by us, because our team is also quite limited on time. But at least you can show this idea to us, to more core developer team, or even to other people that are watching the issues. And maybe somebody get inspired by this and maybe connects to you then on that. And maybe you find a partner to partner up to build on that feature. So that could be very, very nice. Then there's if something's not working. So classic error reporting. That's something we also learn a lot. A lot of features are very experimental. Even kind of standard features can sometimes break. So this is the point where you then create an error report, and I will show you in the next slide a bit how you can maybe add a debug report to it, so that we can get a little bit insight what may be wrong with your machine or on your Raspiblitz there. Then connect one part of this kind of contribution is also connect to the teams, to the other projects that are building the additional apps. Because one goal of the Raspiblitz, because it came from this, or it comes from this background of the Fulmo Lightning Hack Days, a lot of people building other apps there in the Lightning ecosphere, and we try to integrate them on the Raspiblitz, or other people contributed them to the Raspiblitz, and then you can try them out. And to give those teams feedback is also it's a contribution to the project, because it's the idea of connect you to all these new features, this new experimental software that you can then, through you running it at home, you have experience with that, connect to those other GitHub projects out there that we have kind of as part of the Raspiblitz. And then also a great contribution is to help out on error reports. So just for example, if you're on the Raspiblitz GitHub, you can see those are you can watch it. And you can give, first of all, you can give it a star. You can like the project. It's always good. But then take a look at this watch thing over here, this select menu over here. So normally you will be just notified if somebody mentions you, but you can really put it here, turn it here into watching. So we will not be notified by all conversations happening on the issues. That maybe get a bit spammy. So it depends really on your kind of how you like it. But if you really like to why not? I've run the Raspiblitz now for some time, and I think I understood some parts. So then maybe just go into this watching mode here and just monitor a little bit what issues are showing up, and maybe on this one issue or the other issue, you can help out other users to get them going or answer a question. That's very good contribution there. Then, of course, and that's kind of always a good starting contribution, is like correct the typo. And you can directly do this on the GitHub, on the web page. You don't have to be kind of know all the kind of how do I use Git on my laptop or something. You can really start there, very kind of low barrier. But first of all, let's quickly show you how to generate a debug report. So for the case that you see an error and you want some help on an issue, it's always good to have a debug report. So if you go in the main menu, you always have those kind of menus. If you log in with SSH on your Raspiblitz, you have those kind of SSH GUI menus. You go under repair, and then you see the repair options. And if you here select software, you will generate a debug report. So just on your terminal, then you see a lot of text scrolling through. And what you can do is you can use this information over here. In the end, you have to go to terminal then for that to post the complete report to our Termbin, and then just post a link on your issue, or you just scroll up and find the part of the debug report that's maybe of focus for you. So if your LND is not running, post the LND. There's a section then here in the debug report where you can see the LND logs, and just maybe post that section of text into the error report. That's very helpful even for us and also for other people to maybe get a quick view and see an error message. And this is always what we need to then help you in detail on your problem. Another thing is like, and this is what I wanted to show you, is like contribution, make a pull request. Like this is really something where you change a little bit of code on the Raspiblitz code base on the GitHub. You don't need to kind of to have how Git works on your laptop. You can do it all on the website for little small stuff. And the classic is, oh, I see a typo somewhere on my Raspiblitz or in the menu, and I want to correct this typo because I'm not a native English speaker, so I would make for sure some typos, and people find them and are very happy that people find them. So what you can do, and it's quite simple, you are on the GitHub, on Raspiblitz GitHub, and then you maybe, for example, there's no HDD found, and you say, no, it's not an HDD, it's an SSD nowadays or something. You want to change this. You put this little string that was shown and you want to change here in the search bar, and then you go search just in this repository, and it will give you kind of a matching. You will see in which kind of files this string is mentioned, and then you just on the string, for example, here, if you here on this file on the README, for example, you can find this little edit button here, and when you click that one, you will get a kind of text editor in the web browser. You can correct the typo, and then you can propose this change, and you can just say, okay, I want to save this kind of, or let the developers know, create your pull request here. And then you will, it's always good to have some description on there, so please at least let us a little bit know this is a typo correction or something. Propose the change, and then you will get another screen that will ask you if you want to know from this change, create a pull request to the project, and you simply just do this, create pull request. Maybe one thing to check out, there are different branches. So of course there's maybe a master branch there, but sometimes it's always good to, if you have something new or corrected, to maybe check if you can see the latest development branch, for example, version 1.6. If this is the latest, then correct this typo to this branch. This is also interesting for all the other kind of pull requests, advanced pull requests you maybe then do on the code. It would be best to always have this kind of matching against the development branch. Much easier for us than to merge it in and don't have conflicts there. So this is kind of the first step of contribution. And I think this is very easy for everybody to join. So now let's level up a bit. The next the level is the experiment. So you have this Raspiblitz there. You can log in per SSH. And then if you then exit to terminal, you have a console there, and you can do whatever you can normally do with a Linux system. And you can say, oh, I like this other project, for example, there. Like you can try to get another app running. And what you just do, you follow the tutorial on this other project, how to install it on your system on a Linux server, and you just try this maybe, and that's the point. If you really have a good node with much Satoshis on there, don't experiment on that one too much. It's maybe nice to set up a second node there for experimentation, but normally just trying a little bit stuff out should not be a big problem there. And then just go through this and see if you can get it running. this is kind of the idea, like try to get an additional app running or change some configuration of the systems. If you have something in the system that you need to like to have changed, just try it out if you can change it, and just change it for yourself, for your running Raspiblitz. Also, like you can try to connect different hardware or see what else, maybe exchange. Some people try to exchange the LCD that's on the node for e-paper or something. So there's a lot of ways here to go. Maybe to put some takeaways, some good to knows. The Raspiblitz is based on Raspberry OS, on Raspbian, and it's based on Debian. So if you know with the flavor of Linux, so if you're used to Debian, that's good to know. The Bitcoin D is running as the Bitcoin user, as a separate user, and you find Bitcoin kind of installs running on the HDD or the SSD. This is in this path. There's also the LND running as Bitcoin user, and you find it under this path, mount HDD LND. If you want to try to connect with LND, it's good to know that we have the standard ports here that you can use. For RPC, you use the 1009 or at least 10,009, if you call it that way. And on the REST port, the REST API you should find on 8080. And then if you need the macaroons and TLS certs to connect other apps to it, take a look either in these directories here in the LND directory and find where they are, or even take a look if you want to export them and put them into a configuration somewhere. Always remember those can change maybe later on, so maybe just copying them is not always the best practice, but for first start, why not? Check out in the SSH menu, there's a point called LND creds, and there's an export section where you can then download or get the macaroons as a string, something. Those can be helpful here. The outcome in the end, so if you're in this experimentation phase, even if everything is happening on your Raspiblitz, it would be nice to share your experience. So just open up an issue on the GitHub and let us know, hey, I got this running on my Raspiblitz. Is anybody interested here to make this more standard or something? So try to let us know. Maybe you find somebody else, partner up with somebody else, and can kind of go deeper into that topic and level up to the next kind of section. And the next section would be create an install script. There's a harsh reality. You have to learn about Raspiblitz if you try to customize it, because with every update, every time you put in a fresh SD card and let it kind of recover, it will have a fresh, clean system. So all your kind of changes that you did before are gone. I know this is hard, but this is a little bit like, it's a little bit pressuring people into developing an install script. So, okay, what you do is like we prepared a part. So everything that's stored on your hard drive, of course, on your HDD, on your SSD, that stays where it is. So all the data, all your Lightning channel data, everything is safe on the hard drive. But on the SD card, that's really a fresh SD card you put in, and the SD card at the moment is running the system. So any changes to the system, any installed apps, that will be kind of be reinstalled on the recovery process that is happening during the update. But at the end of this recovery process, it will execute this little script over here. That's at the moment, if in your normal system, this is an empty shell script, but you can fill it with your own commands. So if you did changes on your Raspiblitz and you want them to be kind of reinitiated or redone at every update process, go on your hard drive in the app data directory. This is there where the most precious data lives. Go into this custom install script and put the kind of commands in there to all these modifications, try to put them into kind of an orderly fashion into a shell script. There's one condition that's important to know. It should run, this shell script, once executed, should run without user interaction. I know there are some commands out there, even apt-get will ask you if you really want to install this package, use apt-get, for example, with those dash yes, with the dash with the yes parameter. So that will be not asking you for it. It will just install the package. All those little things is maybe something to look up, but don't hesitate to ask questions about this on the GitHub and ask us about it. So we would be very helpful here to get your custom install script right, at least what you need to know to do this. So once you have this install script, you really reach the goal to put your experiment into kind of a description, into a kind of orderly fashion. So this time, every time you update the system, it will execute this install script and make all your changes again to the system. So you have no problems updating the Raspiblitz. Maybe under the condition, it could be, of course, that the Raspiblitz changes something crucial, and then maybe your install script is not running anymore. This can happen, of course, but normally, I know it's a moving target a bit, but most of the changes should be fine. So the good thing is, so if you once have this, you can test it, then your install script with just putting in a fresh SD card, see if this runs cleanly through and all your changes are there after the update. If something was not working, you can check out this one file you find after the update if you log in home admin raspiblitz recover.log. This is kind of all the outputs, and even you can do echo outputs or whatever, like here in the custom installs, and then you should see it. And if there's any error normally that was outputted, it should be on the custom script in the log here, so you can maybe get a hint why it was not running and improve it. Once you got it running, and this is the outcome of this level, so how you can get your kind of finishing this kind of level of degree here is like contribute this shell script back to the GitHub. You can just make again an issue and open an issue there and say, oh, now I got my experiment into a shell script. Look here, maybe somebody can help me now get to the next level. One little remark here, of course, make sure that there's no sensitive data in your custom install script. If you share it on the GitHub, if you have some API keys in there or something, just be aware of this to redact this information before you share the shell script, and let people know they have to insert their API keys there. So this is the level of doing your install script. You already leveled up low. And what's the next level? The next level is the config script. This is now the point where you have a recipe how to get changes running on your Raspiblitz. This is now trying to move this shell script into something other people also can use. And this is also the point where you normally start to work on a forked repo. So you will really kind of check the repo. You will have forked the project on the GitHub, and then connect your Raspiblitz kind of to it and sync your Raspiblitz with that your forked repo. You try then to create this custom this config script, and you try it out, and you make a step-by-step development. I will show a little bit in detail there how you best do this. Where you will work is when you look at home admin config scripts. That's the place where you will find all the config scripts that try to install bonus apps or try to change something on the configuration of the system. This is the place where we try to have all those little toolkits that you can use. And also the SSH menu later is using and executing to change your system and install or deinstall additional apps. The basic functions you should aim for a config script is on and off. So for example, if you have an additional app, there should be a parameter on that installs it, and there should be a parameter off that deinstalls it and makes maybe not completely clean, but then that you can reinstall it again and then it's working again. So that you can, and the off should always have that it's not active anymore. Nothing should be active from this additional app then when you turn it off. Those are kind of basics parameters you aim for if you build a config script. And then you will start maybe to a config script should also do is like change the configuration. So there is at mount HDD, you will find the raspiblitz.conf. This is where all config scripts should kind of store their parameters. So if you turned on an additional script, an additional app, there should be a notice now in the Raspiblitz conf that this extra app is on. So the next time there's a recovery or something that the recovery script can see, oh yeah, you wanted to have the script on, so I kind of trigger now the this install script. And important also is save all your precious data from this additional app, or if you create extra data, a database or something else that you want to keep between updates, make sure to store this in the app data directory. Maybe make a subfolder there. Then of course you have to take care about that the rights are set correctly, the file permissions, all this little stuff, but you can always take a look how other config scripts are doing this and just learn from them. The last part of kind of finishing your config script is like making it part of the recovery process. So again, when the update is running, in the end, this script will called home admin and the bootstrap provision shell script. And this is one that is really just going through. You just add a section mostly at the end that will then just check, oh, is in the config, is my additional app switched on? Then I will trigger this script again to reinstall it on a fresh, updated recovering system. Those are kind of the basics. There's of course a lot of stuff you can add to custom scripts, to config scripts, but we will see this on the next level, maybe what's important there. Again, and this is now the interesting part, if you make, now you can really make a really more complex pull request. Once you have your config script, even if it's in the first kind of version and you like the other people to test it out, you can make a pull request then from your fork repo to the Raspiblitz repo and really commit all those little changes you did. And then we can take a look at it, try it out at our Raspiblitzes, development Raspiblitzes, and see if this fits for the next release, or give you advancing information how you can finish or make your config script ready, so that we can put it then for the next release there. And then if it's there in the next release, other people can try it out. And that's the nice part then, where you really can get into interaction with other people. What's important, and just to quickly let you know, is how, as I was telling you, you now start getting into the mode where you link your fork repo with your Raspiblitz. You try stuff out and you run directly test stuff on your Raspiblitz, and to get it, you want to connect it there, and you maybe do the development there, like your environment where you developed, you do this on your laptop, right? So the idea is a little bit like I have my fork repo check out on my laptop, I do there my changes to develop this config script, and then I push it to my forked repo, and then I go to my Raspiblitz and I want to sync my forked repo with my Raspiblitz, and then I want to try this stuff out, how it's working. It's not the most kind of sophisticated way to do it, but it's kind of a solid way to do it. And to connect your Raspiblitz with your forked repo, you can go in the SSH menu. You can go to patch. There's a section called I think there's even called update. Maybe there's a typo in there, but update or patch. I think go update, patch menu, and then you will find you can set the repo and the branch that you want to sync your Raspiblitz with. So you just use your username on GitHub for the repo, and then you let it know, I want to work here on a special branch for my special feature I'm programming. So just try this out. And once you connected your Raspiblitz with your own repo, then you're in exactly in this routine. You change stuff on your repo, you commit to that repo, and then you sync it, and you can simply with the command patch. If you're on the terminal, normally if you try stuff out on your config script, you're already on the terminal. You just have this one command called patch. You just type this into the terminal, and then it will trigger the sync with the repo and the branch you have set up here, and then you can try out your changes. You run, test, and then you repeat this process until you're kind of you think it's good and you like to make a pull request. Some things to know maybe at this stage. There's another file beside the config that is called that you find in home admin raspiblitz.info. This is the place where it's more like temporary state information you can find about the Raspiblitz, and for example, where you can set a stage mode, and then you can display, and then the Raspiblitz will display stuff on the LCD or stuff. So this may be an interesting file to take a look at if you build if you config script. You will see also other config scripts are kind of importing this as a source, so they have some information about the system. Every additional app should run its own user. This is just to keep them a little bit separated, and that so we can little bit separate it on the file permissions and things like that, so that if there's maybe in some script something bad or evil code or something installs a dependency, goes rogue or something, that it's maybe not affecting the complete system. So it's just the idea, it's a good practice to have to run additional apps in separate users here. Also, there is the possibility there to don't copy the LND macaroons. We have something set up there, but we can show it then in detail if you're interested, so that you can add your user to a special group, and this group then with this group, the user has access, for example, just to the README macaroon or maybe to the admin macaroon. So to have also this a little bit separated and a little bit more under control what is be accessed here on the permissions on your Lightning node. And then a web, if your additional app has a web UI, so that you can then afterwards a little server that you then can call on locally, and you have can you open up in your browser like other apps are doing it, like SonderHub or RTL or BTC Pay Server. They all kind of have web UIs, right, that give you for the user interaction. For those, you should look into the topic of using the engines that we have running. Those are a kind of central serving server in our SSL proxy, so that you can put those web UIs then behind our SSL. So we can use HTTPS encryption there, and you can even utilize our benefits with running stuff behind Tor, or then even behind the IP2 Tor and Let's Encrypt infrastructure we have with the Raspiblitz 1.6 to make your web UI, if this is of interest for your project, available to the outside easily for people and with their simply normal web browsers they have on their desktops and then the mobile phones. Okay, so next level. So we're almost kind of on master level here. So this is the SSH GUI. So this is in the end the moment where your config script reached a certain maturity. So maybe some other people in the community tested it. It got good feedback. People are interested in it, and maybe even it has already some improved resilience, so that it's really running stable on reinstalls and on update processes, so that we can really see that it's a little bit over the very early tester, so that we can see there is some usage of it and there is some interest there for people to have this really more easily available and more like it, that everybody can just switch it on over the SSH menus. That's the kind of goal to have it in the SSH GUI. So this is then the point where the skills really already a little bit developed, right? We are now with GitHub, advanced bash shell scripting, and have to know a little bit like how you use tools like Dialog or Whiptail. Those are the tools that creating those SSH menus. It's not that hard to understand, but it's just something you have to maybe take a look at. But you can also take a look at other config scripts, how they are doing it. And then we can have it. If it's an additional app, we can put it under services, so that people can just click in to install it. If it's something to change, it can be it's changing the system settings. It can get under settings. If it's even a subscription, this is a special concept, something that we introduced recently. Then it may be interested also to integrate it into that area. So there's different areas where to integrate into SSH GUI, depending on what your contribution here is. But we can help you on figuring that out. But what you should have, if it's an additional app, it should have a status menu, or at least a status information. So this you have on, off, and now you need a status, so you can maybe see a little bit more about information about this app. And this can be then integrated into the main menu. So because every additional app should then get an entry in the main menu, so people, when they install it, can easily call it and at least see how to use it and get some hints there. If it's very easy, it's maybe not a complicated status page, but it should give you something there. And then it would be great at this point, at the latest, if it connects or integrates into the debug logs. As you saw earlier, there is just to create a debug log, and if people have errors with with apps they just installed or something. To help them, we need a little bit information about this app. So this is an idea to how to, there's this debug script, and you just need to add your little passage there. You check if it's installed, and then you maybe you print out some logs. Not all the logs, please, that will be too much, but at least the last kind of logs and some information how to get more logs. That's kind of the basics for the debug logs there. And so that we can decide then, if you created this SSH GUI extension, this would be then something, if we add it then to the next release, this also means a little bit, it would be great if you then put some effort into and some commitment for documentation, maybe give some initial support, at least in the beginning. And then when there's updating, and updating gets more complicated than just kind of increasing a version number, then it would be great also to have you available and at least ping you on the GitHub or mention you on the GitHub to let you know, hey, can you maybe take a look here? If we see features that are not where we cannot reach people anymore, or we can see they're getting broken, or they're working not anymore with latest LNDs or Bitcoin versions, then it can happen that we deprecate features there. But we are very welcoming you to integrate it to that level. But you will get the feeling for this if you go level step by step up, if this is worth going into an SSH GUI there. In the end, you make again a pull request, and we will see if we can add it to the Raspiblitz repo and the next release. That's almost like that. The SSH GUI is already like master. So now we just want to prepare you maybe already for ninja level here. So this is looking a little bit into our future, maybe into the direction of Raspiblitz 2.0. The goal is to introduce now step by step also a web UI for Raspiblitz, like you can maybe see on even other projects, like you maybe see on the Casa, or you maybe see on the MyNode. This is something then maybe for more from the customer perspective, giving people an entry level here. So this should work on top of the SSH menu. So and give you, for people that are maybe not that techy. So so projects, the idea is a little bit like features that kind of emerged through all those levels, and we see really people love it on the SSH level to have this feature around. We will also try to get it into the web GUI, of course. So if it's working fine in the SSH world, we want to make it available in the web GUI. The idea a little bit is like to reduce complexity. So the idea is to learn, if it's on the SSH level, it's good to have a lot of options you can maybe configure with this app. It makes stuff complex maybe in the supporting level. So always think what you may be starting there. But on the SSH level, that's cool, because this is for people to tinker and to have a lot of options. And then if it was running for a certain time, you will find out what are the most common use cases people use your additional app or your feature. So then the idea is maybe in the, you can still use all the features when you in SSH world, but for the web GUI world, maybe dumb it down a bit to the basic use features you really see the normal user, the customer, maybe a little bit more would kind of in the end use, and maybe cut it down, the feature set, what you can set on the web GUI to that kind of level, to make it not too complicated what you do on the integration. So this is a little bit where we might go into the 2.0 direction with Raspiblitz. Just to let you know, your config script we at least thinking about this, to use this config script also for the API backend for this web GUI. So there will be some web GUI built in JS, and it will have some AJAX call doing to the backend to an endpoint on the Raspberry. So it will all happen locally. This is it's not built for scaling big, because it just has one user, that's you. This is for adminning. It's an admin web UI. So this doesn't need to be highly performant or high scalable. So we can maybe just think about to make it very easy to just have a small wrapper that just calls your Raspiblitz, your config shell script, with some parameters here, and then just gives back what you what this config script spits out. And it would be best if this if the result then is a JSON, for example, that just can be passed back to the web GUI, and then this admin web GUI can react on it. It's just a concept where we're kind of tinkering on. If you have a good idea here, if you like maybe even to work on this wrapper structure, let us know. This is something really in development, and we are definitely here for discussing it and for maybe onboarding people even into developing it. And then there is the config shell script should at least turn out to have this JSON or key value output. So this is also, if you start maybe a config script already, maybe think to have one of those kind of always one of these outputs. So maybe keep also debug logs a little bit separated, put them into this in the standard error, and just the on the standard out just values that would match JSON structure or key value structure, so that other scripts can more easily interact with it, and later on even the web UI backend can maybe utilize this. And yeah, also one thing to do here is if you reach that level, it's also something to do, consider an info screen and adding an info screen. As you know, the Raspiblitz has this LCD screen. It's a touch screen, and as you can maybe see on Frankie's screen over there. And the idea is maybe also in the future to allow additional apps to have a specialized screen there, so you can maybe shuffle. If you install additional apps, you can maybe then on the LCD shuffle through different info screens. And maybe you can think about in the future to have a special screen there for your additional app that you install. Whatever makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, don't do it. But this is just an option that can be, if we're heading towards Raspiblitz 2.0, this could be something that could be available there to have it. And you will see those kind of developments, at least towards the web UI. You will start seeing this, I think, with a 1.8. I think with a 1.7, we will still have some other stuff to prepare, but we're starting to prepare step by step in this direction. But again, this is already ninja level. If you get it to the other level, like if you already have an SSH config script, SSH menu config script, that's already great. So then you made it. You contributed a big chunk to the Raspiblitz. But again, all those levels are there for you. Again, maybe I showed them in the end quickly again, just to remember those are the levels, and you can really start low. It's no problem, and it's good. It's a good way to get started. And there's sometimes on the issues you can find stuff with good first issue or hackathon with a little label on it. Those are stuff. If you're looking for something, if you're looking for ideas, what to do, what to experiment with, and what maybe to turn into an install script or config script, that's something to start. Just take a look there. What issues are already there? There's a lot of issues out there, and again, it's a little bit a mess because you have feature requests, you have error reports, or something. And now we're not very. Maybe we'll have some more structure in the future, but in the moment you have to live with a little bit more chaotic way. But you will find those with those labels. You will find stuff, ideas to work on, to inspire you. What other people maybe like and feature requests to go in there. So far, I think from my side for part one. Everything. Anybody else on the team likes to add some information there? Something I missed, or maybe something to show a little bit more in detail?
I can do a little go through of an example install script if we don't have many questions.
Yeah, but no, I haven't checked social media, so don't sure if there's questions out there. So maybe just I think we have still about 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, if you can see some details, it would be great. I think some config script, for example.
Open arms. Do you need to share a screen?
Yes,
yeah. So,
yes, please.
Okay.
So I
will stop my screen sharing here.
Okay. So I'm just showing you the install script for the new arrival, one of the web GUIs, which is called Thunderhub. It's a similar kind of application to RTL, which has been the first kind of web interface on the Raspiblitz, and it has a quite well commented install script. So just we'll go through it. You can see that it's on the GitHub. It's under, and on your node as well. It's under the home admin directory, /config scripts /bonus.thunderhub.sh. That is usually the common way to kind of name these things. So it's obviously ends with sh because it's a bash script. As we can see in the first line, it's the shebang, so the system knows that it is a bash script. So it starts just with a little bit of info. When you just call the script in itself, it tells you that what can you expect from it. So it is a config script to install, update, or uninstall the ThunderHub application. And then these are the possible options to switch it on, off. It has a menu function and it has an update menu as update function as well. So obviously someone is see that these lines starting with a hash are not interpreted by the bash programming language or so they are not a command. They are, rather than being run, they're just being read by the user. It's a comment, and by my kind of VS Code IDE, it does turn out to be green as well. So this is where we are commenting inside the code, try to explain what does happen. So the next thing is that we have a look in this Raspiblitz info, what is going on, what status is the node is in, like it's in middle of recovery, or there is some state where we would need to progress or stop. And then there is a which being preserved during updates, so we can know if a service is supposed to be on or off on a reinstall, for example. And if this is missing, then it throws an error. Throws an error straight away that thing is wrong because this file is not there. And then we get to the first thing. I mean, we could do these if statements with functions, but it seemed to be been done things. But that is the same way functional. So here is the menu function, or like if statement. So if you call the config script with the menu option on the end, then this will show. And this is what appears in the main menu. And then you can see that it pulls some values, like what is your IP, what is the Tor address, the hidden service address belonging to the service, and then tells you about an SSL certificate fingerprint. And then you can see it shows different things if the node is running behind Tor, or else if it doesn't run behind Tor but on ClearNet, then over address, and then it exits if the user presses OK. Once we are, or before we install, we need to make sure that there is a ThunderHub entry in the Raspiblitz configuration file. That's what happens here. And then we stop the systemd service before doing anything with the application itself. And then here comes the time when it would be installed. So when we call it with like go to ThunderHub sh1 or on, then this starts to run, which is a couple of steps. So basically, we need to get the dependencies right. This is needing the Node.js programming language to be installed to interpret the ThunderHub code. And then here is where the ThunderHub user, a dedicated user for this service, is created. And then we download the source code from the GitHub with git clone under the ThunderHub user, and then obviously always changing into the right directory. And then this is an important part where we do update the version. So if you want to install to a separate, like newer version, or something is wrong and you want to go back, then when you reinstall, you would need to edit this kind of version number to get higher, lower. There's a little display for what's going on with the echo. So it's running the npm install. This takes some time usually. This is when the application is built from source. And then we are coming to the to make the default configuration quickly. So we just make sure that it's all clean, and then basically, instead of copying the macaroons, we just give it access through the Linux permissions, and that is done with a symlink to give it the path, and then it gives the permission to read by user into this LND admin group, which then will allow it to read the macaroons, so it can communicate with the LND, the Lightning node itself. And we also set up a directory, again an important path, on the disk in /appdata and ThunderHub. This will be a directory where the settings and passwords are stored, and also will be preserved during updates. This is now getting into the weeds of the ThunderHub specific configuration options. If you go on the ThunderHub GitHub, for example, you would see that you would need to create an env.env file, which will create as with our preferred settings, with the dark theme, currency as Satoshis, and we don't really want anything which would hurt our privacy, so we don't do outside calls, and and what happens here is that this is created under the user, under the home admin default kind of path, and we move it to, after removing the possible old file lingering there, we move it to the appdata directory again, which we created before, and that is dedicated for ThunderHub, and symlink it. So simulate a link under the ThunderHub directory, so it will find it there easily. And then there is another configuration file. Again, this is ThunderHub specific. The interesting thing here is that we use the password B to log in to authenticate this web interface, and that is being the password B what the authentication is done with. So kind of take it from the Bitcoin conf file, if the network is Bitcoin. So yeah, this is just being read out of there, and that you need to know that password Bitcoin RPC password, which is will be given as the master password in the config file. And then happens the same, that we move this thing under the ThunderHub user for it to find it. And then here comes another trick, which is the integrated with Nginx, which is our SSL web server. And basically we have a pre-made file under this path, then copied to the right directory, and then it will be available for the Nginx web server to read. And then we do it with all kind of configurations, which is on the SSL. We serve through Tor via Nginx as well, and then there is an encrypted service under through Tor with Nginx as well. So that's the three things. And they have a little firewall running on the node, so we just open that for the port we want to have ThunderHub available on, which is namely 3010 and 3011 for the ClearNet and for the encrypted HTTPS connection. Next step is to install a systemd service. This is very standard. Basically, just need to give it the path and give it the command to run with the port we specified. And what we do here is start the service once the install script has successfully exited, and it will be started from another part of the menu. Again, we now tell to the Raspiblitz configuration that it's been installed, and also another thing is to create a hidden service for it in the Tor torc file, which is done by the script. And we just, it's because the script is already done by naming the service and giving it which port need to go where. So basically the 3012 will open on port 80, and the 3013, which is the HTTPS port over Tor, will open at 443 on the Tor address. This will come handy to the Tor to IP service, which we come into go into later. And then this is the end of the instruct script. So exit 0 means that we are exiting without errors. So that's it in quick. I think, I mean, removing it is just the same thing backwards and much less complicated. And the update script is just what we do basically from the Thunderhub GitHub. So that is it. I think I've used all the time available as well. So I would stop here.
Yeah,
and
right on time.
Yes. So yeah, so that was just an example of script which you can look at if you want to set up a new service. Then you can follow the structure and change what is obviously different.
Awesome. All right. Well, that was the first section. That was contributing to Raspiblitz. Russell, Frankie, OpenArms, do you have anything else you want to add, or should we transition to a quick break?
I think a break would be good, a short break, and then we get into the second part with OpenArms, right?
All right. Very cool.
I don't think Canadian miners have any specific advantage over like miners from the US.
The attributes that Bitcoin has that allows for such a fundamental upgrade in that.
Everything is in Bitcoin.
We're just to the stage of, they'd be like, what are you talking about? You're crazy.
I'm the real Al's Lacrosse.
And I think it's going to happen faster because of the network effects on Bitcoin.
All right, guys, we are back live.
Okay, right. I'm back now.
OpenArms, are you ready to introduce your section?
Yes, I think, should I start to share a screen with these slides?
Yeah, go for it.
Just go to the right one. So we go to present.
I'm excited for this one.
Right. Well,
some exciting. You guys have some of the best privacy integrations.
Well, Lightning and JoinMarket, that is.
Oh, but what you can do? What's the direct to Tor? What's your Tor and the feature?
The IP to Tor thing?
IP to Tor, yeah. You guys should show that a little bit.
Yeah, we have another part on that later on part 3, but I think JoinMarket, OpenArms are ready. Still, want to show us some code, or all right?
Yes. Do you see my screen?
I see your screen. You're ready to go.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So are we live? I'm asking.
We are live, sir. You're good to go.
All right. Hello, everyone. So I'm OpenOms. I'm the contributor to the Raspiblitz project, and just been recently spending some time with integrating JoinMarket. And so I just would like to go through JoinMarket in general, why we kind of put energy into it, and also that how does it look like when it's working on the Raspiblitz, and also how is this menu looks like, which is otherwise in a standalone version is known as Join Inbox as well. So I'd like to start with just a couple of words about JoinMarket. So first of all, it is the longest standing CoinJoin implementation with decentralized coordination and incentive structure. So what just a couple of words at what CoinJoin is. So it's basically specifically it's equal output CoinJoins, which we are meaning when just saying a CoinJoin, and it is basically a privacy technology which is done. So which is transactions coordinated between multiple participants to join their coins together in order that there will be no clear connection between inputs and outputs. And with like multiple coin joins, we can improve our privacy. And so it's the you have like identity tied to your coins, for example, being bought through KYC services, or you're paying something which is coming with identification as well. It would be very good if the payee wouldn't know your history going back, or when you are withdrawing from an exchange, the exchange wouldn't know what you are doing with your money. That's like kind of a basic right, which is kind of natural to us, but it doesn't work like that by default with Bitcoin. So we have like three main CoinJoin implementations. Most popular is the JoinMarket, that is Wasabi Wallet, and the most recent and also quite popular is the Whirlpool from the Samurai Wallet. But we'll just focus on JoinMarket and what does it do. So it has this maker and taker model, which makes takers able to pay others to CoinJoin with them, and the makers can earn Bitcoin by offering funds to CoinJoin with. So it's all a decentralized structure. There is no central coordinator, but it's always the taker who is collating the transaction and coordinating, basically. You can find the code on this link. It's all on GitHub. It's been moved from an older repo, which is under the JoinMarket org as well. But it's all started in like 2015, so quite a while ago now. And in the current repo, it's been moved to in 2016 November, and there's been like 26 contributors to it, which is, I mean, it's a quite complicated thing. You are basically a cryptographer if you are dealing with this thing. So we have the main maintainer is Voxwing, if you know him, called Adam Gibson in other names. Also Chris Belcher and like Christoph Scope and a couple of other names I could mention, but it's just best to go to the GitHub page and see what they've done. So it's all written in Python. So if you it's a very popular programming language, so and very versatile as well. So it's good to familiarize yourself with the code if you can. It is, so the software stack is the way it works. It always and only can be connected to a Bitcoin full node through its RPC connection. So you don't need any other servers to be running, but your own full node. And I mean, most by default on the same machine, you would have the JoinMarket kind of daemon and JoinMarket software running, which then can be used with the command line interface, which is very closely related to what the Join Inbox menu is kind of translating into a Raspiblitz like, so say, menu system. And then JoinMarket Qt GUI graphical interface, which can be used on a desktop, and we'll go into detail with that later. A bit of talk about how the specific CoinJoin implementation. So we're starting with pool size there, but there is not really a thing like that in here. We have an Offerbook, which is made up by the makers who are offering their coins to be joined with, and the way it works, the taker chooses that which amount he wants to coin join, and he can choose anything within the Offerbook limits. So if there are offers, then you can trigger them and pay them to be part of the transaction. The fees make up from two parts, which is the first is the fees which are paid to the makers. So these are set by the entities who are putting these funds up on offer, but they also randomized within the set limits, which is by default like plus minus 20%. And so each maker, each participant in the CoinJoin would get some of this. And the minor fees, which are obviously depending on how big the transaction is, so how many participants there are and how many inputs and outputs there are in the transaction. And also interesting setting where from the maker fee the makers earn, they can allocate some funds towards the on-chain fees. So it's kind of everything is paid by the maker, by the taker who is coordinating and collating the transaction, but the makers can choose to put the fees which they earn towards the on-chain fees. This is again making it more difficult to kind of see who is playing which role and which input is connected to kind of which output possibly. The architecture of the kind of how the software is running by default is, we spoke about the coordination, which is being decentralized in a way that most transactions are done by different takers. There is no central server, but kind of running through multiple IRC servers, and the communication between the peers is encrypted as well, so the IRC server wouldn't see anything. All it can do is maybe censor some offers, but that's why we have multiple servers up, which are unrelated to each other. The whole system is, the way it is installed on Raspiblitz, it can only be run behind Tor completely. I mean, it would be possible to run it on ClearNet, but there will be, no point of that. The size of the CoinJoins, because of the limitation of the IRC servers, is well up to like 13-ish, I think. If there's too many peers, there will be too much communication, and the server will throttle. So there is some limit there. So by default, it is between 7 and 9, and the minimum of 4. A bit of talk about the wallet structure, which is a bit unique. It has, so you get one seed when you generate the wallet or import another seed. It will make 5 accounts, which means 5 different derivation paths from the same seed, and it's called accounts by in other wallets. In JoinMarket, it is called mixed depth. And the point of this, that the UTXOs can, so for example, a UTXO deposited from the first mixed depth. Let's just go to the next slide quickly to see what I'm trying to mean here. Is here we can see mixed depth 0, mixed depth 1, and mixed depth 2, and it has addresses and all. And then there is one UTXO is kind of deposited on the first address, and there are none in the other 2. And that is because the UTXOs can only progress automatically between mixed depth as a result of a coin join. And the way it works, the coin join does progress to the next mixed depth. So in this case, if there would be a coin join, it would come from here to the internal addresses of mixed depth 1, and the exchanged is being kept behind, being kept in the original mixed depth where the input was. So if I would coin join this one, it would just move to the internal address, the same place where this non-coin join changes. So that avoids merging unmixed changed automatically. And then there are some restrictions how the wallets can be used, because when some funds are deposited, they will be broken down between the 5 mixed depth, all controlled by the user, but they cannot be spent together. So you can only spend or send UTXs out from one mixed depth at a time. So there will be no consolidation between accounts. And that is kind of a protection to keep the user from merging the unmixed change or forced to keep it separate. So also looking at this, so as I said, there are, which is, I mean, as you know, computer science word, we start at 0 and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 is not shown because it's not, it's just not being opened up here. But you can see the and the indexes. So the first address, second address, and this would be the second derivation path and the third. And we can go on like this, but we only go up to 4, which is the 5th. Some features which are implemented in the JoinMarket wallet software, which is coin control through both the command line interface and also the GUI. And also, as you could see here, there is auto labeling happening. So there are new addresses which are empty and there will be no transaction on them. There's been a deposit address. And if I would send out the funds from here, it will be labeled as a used address. And then there is a couple of other examples, which is the change output, change out, label change out, which is the unmixed change from the last coin join. There is a non-coin join change, which is the change output from a non-coin join transaction, which has happened here because I've just sent funds out of this wallet without a coin join. And then there could be reused addresses, which is where there is more than one UTXO on one address, or there's been like 2 or more than one transaction done. And also these are the funds which are the most private and the result of a coin join, which are labeled CG out. The different scripts with the one called send payment py, which is a Python script, you can pay with a coin join, which can be, you know, a chosen amount and within the Offerbook limits as discussed. The Tumblr script is more complicated because it can be set, and it does so by default, to do multiple coin joins to multiple addresses, which you can give at least 3 or 3 to 5 addresses you can give to have the outputs ending up on. And it also includes sweep transactions, which means when you start this kind of train of coin joins, there will be the first transaction will be done in a way that there is no unmixed changed output is created. And then also, because we are speaking about 5 to here. There will be some sweep transactions in between, and also obviously all the whole amount or all the amount will be broken up and ending up on these addresses without any change in the end. And also pay join or pay to endpoint protocol, which has been there for a while now, available to be run between JoinMarket wallets. But in the latest muster and in the upcoming next release, there is BIP78 support as well, which is compatible with sending to and also receiving from, I think, certainly in the works to BTC Pay server and Wassup wallet both. But yeah, the sending has been already tried out and works. So coming back to Raspiblitz being Raspiblitz specific, how is this service being installed? It is a one-click option from the services menu, or need to run this script, which is the config script on market.sh on, we would say, when we would want to install it. And this is there since the previous 1.5 version of the Raspiblitz. This is again building from the source code straight from GitHub, signed from the developers, and also running under a dedicated separate user, which is labeled called JoinMarket. This is just a screenshot of how it looks that you go into the menu when you have connected to your Raspiblitz by the default method through the SSH new services and install JoinMarket. This is just the way you will be shown how to, what happens when you run the script with some outputs, and to see what is happening and what it does. So just showing all output, which you can check if anything is going wrong. There are also a special directory in the mnt/hdd appdata /joinmarket, where all the settings and the wallets are stored, and then they are being preserved on the disk between the SD card updates, as we do with all the services. Also, it has a bit of a trick built in, that because the Raspberry Pi is an ARM and not Intel processor-based board, it needs some special dependencies to make it run in a way that it can the JoinMarket Qt GUI on your desktop, running from the Raspiblitz. We'll show the example of that later as well. And then we have this when it is installed, we have the entry in the main menu, which brings up this little info page, which then links to this clickable link, which basically a helpful kind of tutorial of about what to do with JoinMarket, and it's just tries to kind of collect and order a little bit the documentation which is available. And the way we get into it is to run this simple command, which only means that you are logging into the JoinMarket user, and it's called sudo su JoinMarket. Or you can use the JoinMarket user via SSH, so you can log in straight into it. Instead of admin, you can use the JoinMarket user and use your password B, which is the Bitcoin RPC password, to log in. So that one line to start. And then now, since the version 1.6 of the Raspiblitz, we have this join box menu integrated into the Raspiblitz. So not just having a simple command line interface, but have a little bit of help to point where to point the user what can be done, and all is aimed to be right. So you don't need to look up the commands to use the JoinMarket command line, but it's all coming from this menu and being shown to you as well. So these are examples. I think so this is the main menu which is being opened. If you have a wallet generated already, then you can see the addresses and the balances through this info menu, but we'll go through all the kind of other things we can do. So the second option, the Qt GUI, is about show how to open the JoinMarket Qt GUI on the desktop, and this is special option which you do open through the terminal in Windows and Mac OS, and you would need to use something like PuTTY or some other terminal program on Windows, but it does work and been tested. You have different instructions for all three main desktop operating systems. For Linux, which is being screenshotted here, you just need to kind of copy paste this one line, which is broken into two, and paste it into the terminal like it is shown here, and it will ask for the password, which will be the password B as described here, and it describes what will happen. What will happen is the graphical interface will run on your desktop relate from the node via this encrypted SSH tunnel. There is some information about, obviously this is again a new program to familiarize yourself with, but there is quite extensive documentation from the JoinMarket developers, and there is also a great about half an hour, 40 minutes video from Adam Gibson demonstrating the usage of this program. So there is a great thread on Twitter from Hazi and Hitoshi. And this is how it looks like. You've seen the screenshot before. That's where a developed structure has been shown. You can basically just use it as it would be opening from your desktop, even if it's in reality tunneled from your Raspiblitz. Of this GUI is that you can generate a new wallet, you can open existing wallets, and in this case it would be opened from the file system of your Raspiblitz, from that safe place, not your desktop. And you can exercise coin control. You just right click on UTXOs and you can freeze them. You can send payments with or without a coin join with the help of this send payment pie. And you can use the Tumblr options, which you can freely configure. What is not available is running the yield generator, because that requires an always-on setup, like a server, which is Raspberry's perfect for. So that's why I've been implementing it to the menu. It's just links for the documentation I mentioned before. Next, the menu item is the wallet menu, where you can just basically generate a new wallet. It will get you. So this is now on your same as like the Raspiblitz menu is. Now this is the join inbox or JoinMarket menu. And if you click on one thing, then it will bring up the command line automatically. You don't need to type anything else apart from things like, what you want to do, and also things like passwords when you interacting with an already existing wallet. And there is another helper function here, which would be the import function, when you can copy wallets from a remote node. So let's say you have been running JoinMarket on another computer, and now you have your Raspiblitz and you prefer to use that. And in that case, you could just choose to copy over the local network, or if it's a really remote computer running Tor, you can copy through Tor. And this is kind of the instruction set you need to have a look through, but relate it to the folder where the wallets are, and open a terminal and put this one line in there, which will copy over the wallets after you have put your password in. And then you can open it on the Raspiblitz, on the JoinMarket running in the Raspiblitz. So the biggest thing is running the yield generator, which means that you are acting as a maker. You can offer your deposited coins from the JoinMarket wallet for others to coin join with in return for a small fee, and there is also a significant privacy benefit, even if you are not the coordinator. So the coordinator would know that which inputs belong to which outputs, but for everyone on the outside and for someone looking at the blockchain, that will be still obscure. So in this menu, there are the options to interact with this yield generator script. One important thing is to configure it before you would run, and that is done by just simply editing this text file, which is being put nicely in the menu, and it's all explained what you can do here. Basically, you can just leave it by default. It defaults to quite kind of low fees, so your chance of being part of a coin join would be higher, but the satoshis you earn would be lower. But what you can do, if you keep it on a relative offer rather than an absolute, you can just increase this CJ fee _R value to higher. You can even jump some decimals here, and these are the factors which with this value is randomized when the offer is being communicated, and then this TX fee is the part which you would spend on the minor fees from your fee earned, and that is being randomized as well with 30% in this case. You can tell how much, what would be the minimum coin join, the minimum amount you want to participate in, so that stops your UTXs being broken up to many little parts. And when you are done editing this, you just press OK, and then it will be saved. And the next thing is when you go and run this yield generator. Basically, here I had a screenshot of a node which had multiple wallets available. So when you do choose this maker run the yield generator, press OK, and then the next window will be the choose wallet kind of window, which then you would just need to type the file name you want to interact with. And next it would ask for your password. This is the only place where kind of this join inbox menu asks for your password, because it needs to run it through a systemd process to keep it running in the background. Even when you exit the command line and you close the WAR terminal, the service, which is the yield generator service, will be just continuing in the background, keeping your offer alive and make you able to participate, as long as you are restarting the node, because the wallet, the password is used up in the sense that once it's entered to the script, it is discarded, shredded, overwritten a couple of times and deleted from the disk. So it's not saved at all, and try to prevent it to have it lingering around in the memory as well. But because of that, the service would restart but wouldn't have your password, so you would need to go into the menu again and start the yield generator again. But usually, I mean, this is an always-on server we are running. I sometimes don't restart for weeks, even months, if there is like no update for that long. There are a couple of other options here. You can run and configure. You can list the past transactions, the past coin joins your yield generator has been a part of. You can see your nickname, so you can look up your offer in the Offerbook, and then you can monitor the service and have a look at the logs, or just stop the whole thing. I always try to set it in a way that it shows you the actual command which it does run when you are before it runs. So for example, when you're monitoring, it is the standard way of monitoring a service, which is this with systemctl and status option. And then the logs, again, similar, they're found here in this path, and then it just looks for the last file which has been modified. Another script, another option, it's in the lower right corner. You can see we get to the send part. So this is send payment part, send payment pie script, and it has a couple of things. So many windows, these are just appearing after each other when you are what you want to. So here you would choose this if you want to pay to an address with or without CoinJoin. Let it be your address or let it be someone else's, or maybe even paying for a service. You would choose the wallet again by typing the test.jm in this case, and then the questions are being asked at which account or mixed depth you want to use. So how many makers you want to CoinJoin with? You can use 0. In that case, there would be no CoinJoin done, just would be a simple Bitcoin transaction. And then you can choose the amount, how many Satoshis, to which address, and it's all being confirmed before you would engage. The miner fee actually is defined in the JoinMarket CFG, which is by default would go to have the transaction confirmed in the next 3 blocks, but you can arbitrarily change it to have it either higher aim or just configure it to use an arbitrary number of Satoshis per byte. So that you would need to do before, but it would again tell you if it would be too big, and you will need to confirm that you want to go ahead. First here in this confirm this screen, and the next it would open or run the script, which is then tells you that you're running this command, the Python sendPayment.py, M5 for first mixed depth, or for second mixed depth actually, mixed depth number 1, number 9 for 9 makers to CoinJoin with. This is the name of the wallet, the amount you want to CoinJoin, and this address you want to send to. You can double check here again. This is the same thing which has been given here in words. And then this is just the output of the script. You will see this appear as the script runs. And it again, if it doesn't have default options, which these are not defined by default, but can be in the JoinMarket CFG, you can confirm that how much do you want to pay for the CoinJoin itself to the makers as a fraction. So that would be between 1 and 0 means 100% of 0. So if you would want to go down to, for example, 0.001%, you would write in 0.001, which I think I've done here, yes, before we come to the next question. So, well, so this is in absolute numbers, right? So 0.001 would mean 0.1%, exactly. And and then the next question is what the absolute limit would be. So how much maximum you would want to give to a maker. And I told, well, it's still quite stringy to go for 1,000 Satoshis per maker. And then again, it just summarizes what you're spending, and also telling you which is the miner fee you are using, which is set 1 Satoshis per byte in this case. And only when you all aware of this would ask for your wallet description passphrase, which is the wallet password which you've set when you generated the wallet. And with that, you would give it to go. So we had like 3 steps of confirmation here, so cannot really go wrong. Now I will be a bit quicker to go through the rest of the functions of the JoinMarket menu. This is the freeze method. It is the way to do the coin control in the CLI. Here you just choose this menu option, choose the wallet, and then there will be this little script showing, which is an interactive script, which will ask you that, look, in this mix depth, it also asks for the mix depth used. So in this case, I've been using the first mix depth. There are 2 UTXOs here. And if you want to freeze one of those, basically freezing means market to not spend in the transaction which is coming. So market to not spend, I've gave it a 1. So in this case, what is this? It's all testnet coins. So it is either 37 million sats have been frozen. So we'll be only using this small UTXO, which is not frozen, in the next transaction. And then when you've done, I mean, in a typical case, you would have many more UTXOs. You just type -1, and then the script would exit. And then now you can go on and send, and then it would only use the ones which are not frozen. Again, a quick run through about how the pay join menu works. You have 2 options when you choose it. Receive, and first you would need to go, or your counterparty will need to go to a receive option. So it's what pay join means. First of all, it is another type of coin join, which is not equal amount, but it is basically a mini coin join, also called, also implemented in the Wasabi. It is implemented in Wasabi as well, just coming up, but in the Samurai wallet first, and they have the specific name for it. I don't want to say the wrong word. So what is a pay join transaction? So basically, it is a way when one peer pays another, and the payee or the seller contributes one input, or at least contributes some inputs to the transaction. So he will be paying himself. So inside the transaction, he would get that contributed transaction back, plus some from the payer or the buyer. And basically the change would be returned to the payer, and the payment would be, or the leftover change, which would be consisting of the input which the seller contributed to the input side, and the payment itself. So in this way, it will be absolutely unclear that what was the payment amount really. So the amount is obscured, despite there are clear numbers showing, but it's not the real movement of funds. And also there is the basic kind of presumption of chain analysis broken, which is called the common input ownership heuristic, which is a rule which would suggest that all the inputs of a transaction are attributed to one entity, which is wrong in this case, because one of the inputs through the pay-join protocol communicates it through the pay-join protocol is being added in by the person who is the receiver of the payment. So there we go. We receive through the menu. Then you need to choose a mix steps to receive to. It has only one thing to be aware of, that mix steps needs to have at least one UTXO to be offered to the transaction. And then how much you want to receive. Again, confirm the details before engaging. And the menu would show the command it runs. So this Python receive payjoin.py, M0 for the first mix depth, the test wallet, and 10,500 satoshis. And it's just tells you a little tip that what you need to give to the payer And this is like a BIP71 kind of payment URI. What you have here, this is the original kind of implementation of PayJoin in JoinMarket, which is working between the JoinMarket wallets. If you would have an onion address or like a HTTPS website instead of this GM nick, which is only an IRC communication nickname. So if you would have a HTTPS website here instead, then it would be it would be very similar to what the BIP78 protocol is about. But in this case, you would just communicate this BIP21 URL to your account, to the person who you would pay you. And then here we come to the send payment option, which can be done from the command line, but through how it looks in the menu, that you would choose send. Again, one step is left out, which when you are choosing the wallet, then you are choosing the mix depth you want to pay from. Obviously, you need to have enough satoshis in there, and just paste the receive URI, check the details, and there it goes. Again, before engaging, it would show you the miner fees, and it would show you the whole command it is running. So there again, you can double check the address, the amount, that you've been not tricked to paste something else, and only then it would ask for a passphrase, which can be seen here, already done, and then where the output is about basically the JoinMarket protocol, or the JoinMarket client is connecting to the IRC servers, which is the JoinMarket bit, and the Guybrush hacking would find this kind of ephemeral offer of the receiver of this PayJoin, would engage, tell you the details, and would come up with something like this, which is a raw transaction, which then would be broadcast to the network, and there you go. You could do a PayJoin like this, and it's been already, I tweeted out about doing this with the Bech32 address format, which is available in JoinMarket, and maybe will be used by default in the future when the whole order book and the orders will be migrated to native seg with Bech32. And this is just a tweet when I bought basically a virtual green tea on Testnet from this website of Mr. Cook's, just to prove that these implementations are really compatible, and they are. You can check the from the tweet link of the tweet. You can check the TXID, and it's on the blockchain, on the testnet blockchain. Again, some other functions. Just checking. We are getting closer to the end now. So there is a thing called the Offerbook, where you can check all the offers of the makers are making available. This is basically about reading the output from the IRC servers, which are being brought, kind of IRC bots of the makers. And you can either do it through a server of someone else, which is, there is like a default server, which is the joinmarket.me/ob, which is boxing running, and it's available most of the time. So you can, but to verify or to look up your view of this market, or just to avoid connecting to any kind of third party, you can run your own, and you can do it from this menu when you choose offers and you start watching the Offerbook locally. It will install the dependencies and start the systemd service, which will be serving this website and reading the IRC server, and it will show you a hidden service address, basically. So you can not only connect it on your LAN, connect to it on your LAN, but from anywhere else through the Tor browser, which is, this address is, it's even up currently. I won't keep it on for long. But you can check yourself that it's a very similar number is served by the server of Boxwing as well. And then you can see there are 146 orders from 144 different entities or clients. And I won't go into analyzing the order book itself, but basically it's quite a lot of liquidity now, given that there are people who are, or well, these are bots really, offering from like 100,000 Satoshis to 5 Bitcoin, or up to 400 Bitcoin or 200. But you know, the higher the numbers are, usually the less offers you get. So it's best to kind of try to coin join in a sensible area where you can see that there are, you know, 20, 30, 50 offers are available, so that there are plenty to choose from, and there are no Sybil attacks. You know, the chance of Sybil attacks would be much less. And right, so 2 more options. There's 3 more options left. The configuration option is just again opening the JoinMarket CFG as it would have opened the yield generator pie, where you can edit your options. It has a little guidance in it, and also inside the configuration file, it's all commented that what is used for what setting. So there is a lot of help there, and there is the field, for example, passwords, the username and password to connect to your Bitcoin D is pre-filled by the install script. So you don't really need to set any to change the default miner fee, for example. And then there is an update option, since, you know, it's this whole menu system is an ongoing development, work in progress. You can jump up to the status at the latest master on GitHub to, you know, quick fix any bugs or get to see the newest edit functions. And if you get to see any bugs or any problems, please, I mean, it's best to open an issue or just contact me directly on any kind of, you know, social media, which could be Telegram, Keybase, Twitter, where I'm around at OpenArms. And or if you come to and open or look at the code, maybe you can do a PR at github.com/openarms/join-inbox, where this project lives. There's a link here. Somewhere, yes. So this is the link of this menu system, and used not only on the Raspiblitz, but it could be set up standalone as well. And there are, you know, plans to build an SD card image release, for example, to be used, for example, with an old Raspberry Pi 3 and connect remotely to a Raspiblitz or any other kind of Bitcoin node, Bitcoin Core full node. And right, last thing is just to exit to your command line and then again have a look at this guidance, you know, training to interact with JoinMarket. I mean, if you looked, listen through this far, you'll probably have a little bit of idea, but you can read more here and also refer to it anytime. There are very useful links there as well. And just checking if I have a couple more minutes just to give some basic recommendations about how to use, well, the coin joins and how to use the JoinMarket specifically. There are a couple of tricks which you can improve your privacy with, and which are applied automatically. For example, if I'm using the Tumblr, but it's best to do manually at some point as well. So for example, if you're running your JoinMarket wallet for a while, and especially like it's just passively the yield generator is running in the background, you have been through your UTXOs have been through plenty of coin joins, but from time to time it is advised to do sweep an entire mixed depth or just one UTXO which you want to do something with. And sweeping means to spend it without creating change, right? And as well, so you can do a coin join without any exchanged, and basically break the links of the previous things happening with that, with the history of, break the links from the history of the UTXO with that, with a quite good method with a sweeping transaction. Also, if you want to have privacy, want to make your UTXOs private quicker, then it's probably best to trigger this chain of coin joins, which is done by the Tumblr script, and which does include sweeping transactions, as been introduced, I think, in 2018, that the first transaction of the Tumblr is always a sweeping one, and then also the last one is not creating any more change. Also, it's good practice. I mean, if you are running the Tumblr or the send payment pie, or like sending a payment triggered by yourself, then you are acting as a taker. But it's good to act as a maker as well. So just to have your real generator running in the background and participate in other people's coin joins, or coin joins coordinated by other people. If you want to come to it and use coin join a large amount, or kind of make a large amount private, then it would be advised to break it down to a sensible level, for example, below like 40 BTC, or anything which has a sufficient amount of offers in the order book. So you would need to look at to see that, look, I have 100 BTC and only one person is above 100 BTC, is offering coin joins of above 100 BTC. So, you know, I couldn't do a really an effective coin join, an efficient coin join with, you know, more than 5 participants, for example. But if you go down to like looking at the order book, go down to like 1 Bitcoin, for example, then you would have, you know, 100 offers available to you, which then with multiple mixes would ensure that you are not even mixing with the same person, or the chance of it would be very low. And then also when Patreon is available, use it. You have this very versatile JoinMarket wallet funded. So use it when you see that a merchant, for example, is offering to be paid through a Patreon, or when you're just transacting between friends or some people you know are using JoinMarket, for example, then you can already do it to set up and pay with a Patreon. So yeah, that's the next topic. That was it. Thank you for listening. And if you have, or if someone would have any questions, I'm very happy to answer or go into more detail on anything.
All right, cool. If you want to stop sharing your screen, open arms. Thanks for going into such detail. Really awesome to just see how well integrated it is into the node and how easy you guys have made it, even though JoinMarket isn't necessarily the most noob-friendly option in the privacy game right now. It's really awesome how powerful it is and how easy you guys have made it. Let's roll the next set of commercials, and we'll take another 2-minute break, and then we have one more presentation for you guys. Really excited.
Right now, we live in a world where privacy is for the professional, it's for the expert, it's for the rich, it's for the elite, it is for the privileged. But we can't live in a free world where privacy is a privilege. Privacy has to be right. It has to be accessible to everyone if it's going to actually matter.
The timing is very, fortuitous for this halving, because Bitcoin was born in the ashes of the last financial crisis, and these conditions are exactly what it was purposely designed for.
Because Bitcoin is the single most powerful tool and weapon for what we're talking about.
The Strike interface and approach is much more obvious and much more clear. It's not about censorship resistance. It's not about self-custody. It's not about hodling.
For me, my concern is that the state is the greatest threat to Bitcoin. It always has been, and it always will be.
One of the coolest features about this device is it doesn't have one solid state drive, but it has two.
In the future, we want to have kind of this P2P network where people can negotiate DLCs.
It's the arms race, which brings us to our next story.
Nice transition, Brandon.
Oh, you like that?
Buckle up, motherfuckers. It's going to be a fun ride.
Going by the name Satoshi Nakamoto in 2008. True identity still unknown.
Okay, so let's get into the third part here, and this one will be about Lightning vouchers and merchant onboarding. Those are two new concepts we're kind of working on the Raspiblitz, and they're working on with the Blitz software. They're target to very focus, so something you can do with your Raspiblitz in your local community. But one important part to get it ready, to set it up correctly and to make it available to the outside for your local community is to set it up behind IP2Tor, the Blitz behind IP2Tor. And to give you more details on this and how to do this with the Raspiblitz, I hand over to Frankie that did a lot of work on this, and happy to hear the details to get us set up with IP2Tor. And then I will get into the details of the vouchers and the merchant onboarding.
Yes, okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm Frankie. I've been on the project for almost 2 years now, I think already, contributing just as we heard in the beginning, leveling up from making changes to FAQ scripts or fixing typos to actually adding scripts and new functionality. It was a journey, an interesting one. Yes, this section now will be kind of about the topic, how can I actually use my Raspiblitz that I have. I think that's a very important part, also from a user's perspective, that there are really use cases where you can apply this. And looking at the Raspiblitz project, we kind of see at least 3 common cases where you actually kind of want to interact with it without actually touching it. So one important point is, of course, remote control. So there are interfaces like the REST API and the gRPC API that's used by most people through apps. So you could have the Zap wallet or the Zeus wallet on your mobile phone, and you'd want to remote control your Raspiblitz, or you are using one of the browser-based solutions like RTL or ThunderHub. So RTL, remote control, one of the use cases. Another use case can be if you're kind of a merchant and you want to sell things. BTC Pay is also listed here on the slide, is a pretty common option to sell goods, for example, digital or physical. And the last thing we see is kind of apps like, for example, Blitz, which will be the focus of this part here, where you kind of even have additional next layer applications, like where you can actually host account systems based on Lightning. And all 3 of these things have in common that, well, where do you host or have set up your Raspiblitz? Usually, well, you have it at home in your living room or in your basement, or maybe you have it in your store or in a small office. And in all those situations, we kind of identified the problem that, well, how can people reach the node, right? So that's pretty a hard thing, and even today with things like firewall setup, routers, NATs, and other topics that kind of prevent you from hosting services at your home. And also a very important part for us as the Raspiblitz development team is that we really want to kind of hold highly the topic of the aspect of privacy. So if you host your Lightning node at home and your Bitcoin node at home and using it not over Tor, then you might be exposing information or linking coins to your IP address that you get at home from your internet service provider, which usually actually don't want to do. So for us, going with Tor was, there's been one of the goals since quite some time now. And we are, I think, almost there. Correct me if I'm wrong later on, Ruzel. But basically, this is something that we had in mind, quite a long time. And now the question is, what is IP Tor? When would I need IP to Tor? Well, from our perspective, not every time when somebody wants to interact with you, for example, you have a store, somebody comes in and wants to buy something, not in every case they will have a Tor browser on their phone. Almost never, I guess. So in some situations, it actually really makes sense that we have something that bridges between the normal kind of internet and the services that we are providing on the Raspiblitz. And this, I think, was kind of the basic idea for IP to Tor. And yeah, the IP to Tor is useful, but if you're kind of transacting over a website and you maybe want to sell something or buy something, then, well, usually you have to look out for the HTTPS log symbol, right? Otherwise, you could be kind of being intercepted or betrayed or cheated on in some way. So having valid certificates is also the last missing piece that we discovered in our approach to solve this problem. And well, it's solved too. So basically, in the next 6 slides, I will show the steps that we implemented on the Raspiblitz to get you from the end, from the start to the end. Can you switch back? Sorry, just want to get the story complete. Basically, in this nice drawing here, you see that, well, at home you have, for example, Blitz running on your Raspiblitz. You have you don't really care about the router and everything about this because you're using Tor. And on the right-hand side, you have users that are either on a mobile phone, on a tablet, or on a POS device, an embedded device. And all they do is they open a normal HTTPS domain name port connection. And this actually lets them end up on the Raspiblitz node you have at your home. Some important things to keep in mind is, of course, encryption is mandatory. So because the first part between the browser or the mobile phone and the IP2 Tor server, this goes over the normal internet. That's one reason why we require HTTPS and also why the Let's Encrypt certificate is essential. That's the quick rundown. And I think now we can actually step into, well, how did we implement this and how does it look from a user perspective? Next slide, please. Okay. Yeah, Blitz software is also open source, available on GitHub. One of the extension, the bonus apps that we have on Raspiblitz. So basically, what you do is you set up your Raspiblitz with the current version 1.6. You have Tor enabled. You have at least some funds on there, and you have at least one channel. It would be good to have some inbound liquidity, but it's not essential for this step. And then you just go to the menu, services, and install Blitz. This will take a little time to get all the dependency installed, but then it will be set up and it will finish with this dialog that you see in the left corner, where you kind of have the IP address in your local network with port 5001, where with HTTPS, you can already go ahead and test whether this is working. You will at this point get a certificate warning because, well, in default, we just use the certificates that's already on the Raspiblitz. That's the certificate LND generates. And yeah, but printing the fingerprint here actually makes you able to check whether you're actually connecting to the right device and not being intercepted there already. As we mentioned, we also enable Tor. So in this step, you could also already check the Tor address without HTTPS, just a normal Tor connection directly from a Tor browser to a Tor hidden service. That would be safe too. Next step. So now we have the service running. How can we get access to the service also for people who don't really want want to deal with Tor or can't deal with Tor. So the sort of step here is that we have introduced a new, completely new menu item that's called subscribe on the Raspiblitz menu, where you can add or order a job for IP to Tor bridges. There is the shop there is a menu where you just select I need a new Tor bridge, and you can also select from pre-defined options. For example, you might want to expose the REST API or the RPC API, or in this case, the Blitz software. Yeah, you just go ahead and order the subscription. You have a selection where you can say there might be more than one servers available. It might, from my perspective, make sense that you choose a server that's in your regional location. For example, if you're in Europe, it might make sense to get a server in Europe. If you're in Asia, something in Asia. And also we have also set up a server that's hosting in North America. Did I miss anything, Christian? If you can just pitch in if I'm missing anything important.
No, but this is the way to get to this. And I think a little bit interesting would be to see what details are on the deal.
Yeah, sure. The concept that actually behind this Tor bridges is that, well, somebody has to do something for you. And we came up with this concept of the subscription, which actually means you're paying a little bit for this. In this scenario, we have a num-tor1, that's the server name, which actually stands for North America, Toronto. It's coincidence. That's basically the location of this server that's running these bridges. And you can buy for 24 hours at one of these bridges. It will cost you 48 sats for the first sign up. And then if you just let it renew automatically, each extension for another 24 hours will just cost you 40 sats, so a little bit cheaper. The IP address 172, that's the IP address that will be important later on, or which will be used later on. That's just basically the IP on the public IPv4 network of this host. And the Blitz Tor address that's listed here for M3 and so on, that's automatically retrieved on Raspiblitz. You actually don't have to paste this in here. This will, because it's running on a Raspiblitz, it knows what the address is, so this will be taken care of for you. Yeah, so the next step is you hit agree, and then the Lightning invoice is created and also paid by your node. So basically, if you agree here, you actually confirm a Lightning transaction over a payment channel that you already have open. Okay, next slide. Okay, yes, so basically that hopefully should work. And you can look this up in the Blitz main menu item. Then you should have a new line that was added here with the data you need to access via the IP to Tor bridge you just purchased. Same issue with the certificate here. So basically that's a little bit of a downside now. If you connect to this with a regular browser, then you will get a warning again, the same warning as with the local LAN connection with your local IP here just over the internet and over the IP to Tor bridge. Still, you have this warning, and this warning is even a problem with sometimes, for example, on Android, there is the problem that certain functionality might not be allowed if it's not a secure connection. For example, we had reports that scanning with a camera might not work if you have a non-trusted connection. And so that's the next problem that we had to solve. And there's already a hint on the slide here that on the main menu, we also have subscriptions for Let's Encrypt. If you are not familiar with it, Let's Encrypt is a open and free of charge certificate authority that gives you HTTPS certificates, and that can make sure that your connections are secure. On the menu you select the Let's Encrypt service, and we decided to bundle or integrate at first one. I think we have another one on the list to do, but basically we decided that going with Duck DNS or one of the dynamic DNS providers. There are many different like this. DNS.org is one, and but several other ones. The reason why we chose to integrate Duck DNS is that they support a special feature that we need for Let's Encrypt. That's the DNS AP validation of the certificates. That's one important detail here. But basically what you have to do as a Raspiblitz user, you have to go to Duck DNS, sign up and get an API key. Decide which name you want to have. In this case here we have test bits, and basically that's it already. You set up an account, take the token, set up the name, and then you're already done with this part, because this data is needed in the next steps. I think you went back here. At some point, I think you enter the data. Might miss the screenshot here, but basically what happens here is that the test bits duckdns.org dynamic DNS name is now pointing to the IP address of this IP2Tor server in Toronto. And you will have received a valid HTTPS certificate from Let's Encrypt for the name of testbits.duckdns.org. And if you now open your browser, either on your desktop or on your mobile phone, this will be recognized as a valid certificate for this host, and everything will be fine. You have a green lock, and actually it's working. And basically you just have to keep in mind you're accessing from your browser. You're going to the IP2Bridge server, which puts your traffic into the Tor network where it ends up on your Raspiblitz. And that's the full picture. And basically here we also have a screenshot, testbits.duckdns.org with the special port that you got assigned. This bar is not green, but basically in other browsers it is. It's a closed lock. And here you have the LNBits home screen for the main application that's being served, and it is accessible for anybody. Okay.
Perfect. So this is exactly what we need. So now we have a service. We have LNBits running on our Raspiblitz, securely behind Tor. We're using the IP2Tor bridge, and with that service now, everybody in our local community can just call like every other website that would be out there on the internet, and without any security warnings, now reach our service. So next question is. Yeah, sure.
I have a closing slide, I think, before I hand over to you, right?
Sure. Sorry.
So just one thing to keep in mind here. Basically, there are 3 external services, 4 if you count DNS, that are needed here, right? So you have IP2Tor, you have DuckDNS, or maybe one of the other services, and Let's Encrypt. You just need to be aware of this. Those are external services. DuckDNS, of course, exists already. Let's Encrypt also exists. IP2Tor did not exist. That's something we invented and implemented. And basically, if you have problems with any of the IP2Tor subscriptions that are sold and hosted on the default Raspiblitz configuration, please open your issues on the main Raspiblitz project. But if you're interested in the IP2Tor software that's running on the backends, that's what we newly created. There is the link on this slide to my repo where I'm hosting this package. I have a small graphic on the right-hand side where you already see I decided to implement this in Django. There is a Redis queue, and there are workers, and there's a database. If you're familiar with any of that and are interested, then just maybe go to that URL and look at it, or maybe send me a pull request for any improvements that you would see for this topic. Okay, thanks.
Cool. And just to highlight, because as Frankie mentioned, there's 3 kind of services now involved into doing this. There's the IP2Tor, but the good thing is you just was contacting us through Tor, telling us a Tor address you want to have forwarded some things to, so we don't know who's behind that. and then you pay with Lightning the subscription. So this is also a non-paying of a service. So the IP tutor service is not really knowing what who's the customer. It just gets paid and delivers the service. At least that's we try to make sure of this. With the Duck DNS, for example, you need to create an account there. Or otherwise you need another account to get it there. So you can use a GitHub account, a Twitter account, a Google account. So you should maybe, if you're non-aware, you should use a Tor browser to go to this page, and then maybe use a fake or a second Google account, whatever. Like you make sure that there's no identity attached to it to get an account there on DuckDNS. But then normally you should also not have problems there from the anonymity side. And the last thing was the Let's Encrypt. This is a free service, and we can, when the Raspiblitz is kind of getting the certificate, it does it behind Tor. So it tells us, here's our Duck DNS. Here, please verify this, and this is happening behind Tor, or at least. Oh, this is a good question. No, this is the last thing we want to add on the 1.7. There could be on this process, there could be still a clear net connection. So I don't at the moment get too wild, but this is on our to-do list to also make sure that the ECMI script that is doing the communication with the Let's Encrypt for the Duck DNS is also then going over Tor. But this is on our list. So in the end, this process should cover you on all those three services with at least a good enough security there. And we're very happy if you have any improvements there to get to us and make this even more known. Okay. Thank you, Frankie. So we are now can talk about the services. What can we now do? This was our technical infrastructure setup to offer now a service to a local community. And there are two kind of concepts we want to introduce to you, or at least show you a little bit more in detail that we are working on. They're very fresh, so very welcome to get your input here and to improve all of this. It's not perfect yet, but I think we are coming to a point where we can start to experiment with this in our local communities. Maybe even start with our friends, and then maybe even go further there. So the first concept is the Lightning vouchers. The idea is there to give away Satoshis to people. It's a kind of local onboarding for users to give them their first experience with Satoshi in a very, very easy, low barrier way. And then there's the second action you can do is the cash in the bag. That's the idea, to really have a low barrier local onboarding for local merchants with a very, then this is all the stuff you can do when you run a Raspiblitz. It's not much more you need to do, or you have almost everything ready. If you set up the IP tutor, you're ready to go. So first concept, the Lightning vouchers. It's a bit like Bitcoin paper wallets, but this time with Satoshis on Lightning. So if you remember, it was giving people Bitcoin paper vouchers, paper wallets was a very, very easy way to get people onboarding. You gift them to friends, or even at some events, you were able to give people some Satoshis. But of course, today, fee and block space, it's not that easy anymore. On the fee side and all of this. So, but now we have, and giveaway Satoshi was even back then not possible. But now with Lightning, we can transfer Satoshis here. So, and it would be great if we can revive this culture of spreading some Satoshis around in our communities to give people this first kind of ownership, the first kind of idea, and to experience what they can do with some Satoshis and spending them on the Lightning Network and get an experience for that. So this is really the goal here, onboarding and education. And this is the good thing is, if you have such a voucher but with a QR code on there, there are two ways to kind of use those. The first one is that you scan it with because this is an LNURL QR code over here. The first way is to scan it with a mobile wallet that is LNURL capable, and then it will directly just kind of get those those Satoshis that are in this voucher from your Raspiblitz and transfer it with a Lightning transaction into their custody. So this is really great for really transferring it in the ownership of at least of the wallet or of the customer. We can talk later about that. But there is some little bit of downside. The wallet needs to be installed. This can be a little bit lengthy process. There's also confusion which wallet to choose maybe, and maybe even this mobile wallet is not supporting LN URL. Not all of them are doing it right now, but more and more. That's at least a good thing. And there's also the question about inbound liquidity. So if you have a custodial wallet, a non-custodial wallet, do you already have the inbound liquidity quickie? So quick that you can really just take the voucher, install the app, and then just get it. It's good. I think this is good for getting people starting in stacking sets and giving them their first kind of Satoshis with this vouchers. So they take a little bit more time and experience it. And even this is a good setup for meetups where you sit a little bit longer with the people and can explain it, maybe how to install a wallet and on all those things. So this way this is one way to use the voucher. The second way to use the voucher, and this is more like for the instant spending, for the instant trying it out, is to scan it with your normal camera app. So for example, if I look at my Samsung S9 I have, if I just open the normal camera app and I point it to a QR code, and there's a URL in this HTTPS URL in this QR code, which is in here, then it will offer me to open this in my local browser. So, and then it will open up this HTTPS URL, which is served from my Raspiblitz, which is from my LN bits, and it will give me an instant account. So it will create the kind of a browser wallet for this allowance I got here on this voucher. And there's definitely, and I have it really like a small temporary wallet there, and there's even a send button, and I can then the camera opens off the smartphone, and I can just scan some other invoice. Maybe we had it at a test setup with a beer tap, so people just get those paper vouchers, scan this, open this temp wallet, and then directly spend the Satoshis from the temp wallet to this beer tap, and they instant gratification. Nice, this is Lightning. Now I get it a little bit. I can see this is Lightning fast and it delivers me something. So there's these two ways you can experience. One is the saving side, that's better done with transferring into a mobile wallet, and the second is the instant spending side. But, and this is a little bit the point here, this is still an instant wallet, and people lose it, of course, fast, and there's all this other kind of problems in there. But for the fast spending side, those are the kind of two experiences you can make able with those vouchers. Okay, so let's see, creating vouchers. So I want to walk you through the steps how to create those vouchers. So if you want to follow this on your own, first of all, you need to make sure that you really call the LN bits over the IP tutor and the Let's Encrypt duck.dns domain that we set up before. You can find this, again, you can find this address where if you set it up always in the main menu, you get to LN bits and it shows you, and you just can copy it and have it in a browser. And this is then what you call. So you get your starting page of the LN bits. First thing to do is now we want to create vouchers. We create a kind of sub-account here on our LND wallet with LN bits, and we can call it voucher wallet. So that's okay, and we click add new wallet. Once you are on the next page, maybe remember to bookmark this page. This is always good to because again, those are all those instant kind of wallets, and it's to keep track of them and to be maybe call them later on again. It's good to have those backmarked, those created wallets. So keep that in mind. So next step is to, this is now how this temp wallet looks like. You can see there's 0 sets on here. And now we want to prepare this sub account to create vouchers from. So this is the wallet we need to fund with the Satoshis we want to give away. There's a little bit of downside at the moment. Even maybe we have Satoshis on our main LND account, but we want to get Satoshis in our LN bits account here. There is at the moment not a direct way in LN bits to say just, oh, come on, just put from our main wallet now into this SAP account 100 Satoshis. So what you need to do is to send from an external wallet, maybe you have on your mobile phone. You can simply use a wallet like wallet of Satoshi there. You send from your main account to there some Satoshis, and then you send them back to this LN bits wallet. It's hoped this will get easier in the future, but it works. So what you do is like you go here, receive, you say I need 200 Satoshis in here under what fund vouchers, which is the funding for the vouchers, create invoice, and you pay then with this external wallet, this temporary wallet. Okay, so now this is funded. This is good. Always think about, make sure that your Raspiblitz has enough inbound liquidity and all this stuff, so that the basic infrastructure, lighting infrastructure, is ready for people trying stuff out. Then the next thing to do, you're still on your same page. You're here on your 11 bits on your wallet you created, and you now have funded, and you find always here this manage extensions point, and you go there and you see all the extensions that LNBits plugins that LNBits has available for you, and the one that we need is the LNUL V for withdrawal. So, and you click one here where enable, then this enable turns into an open. You click on open, and then you get into the screen for the LNUL V extension or plugin for LNBits. So what do you see here? You see, here's a button, quick vouchers. This is very new. So maybe if you just have installed 1.6 and you have LNBits already, you maybe don't see this. This is very new. I will talk you in the end about it, how to get the latest version. But this now is a new addition here. There's a quick vouchers button. You just click this and you get this little dialog, and it asks you for 3 things. The first one is you have to choose here the wallet that we funded. This is normally it's just the only one in there with the 100 Satoshi. You just select it there. Then you say withdraw the amount, how much Satoshis should be on every voucher. You just maybe 10 Satoshis, and we want to have 10 vouchers. So of course, make sure this is not exceeding the Satoshis that you have on funded, but this is on our range. So we say, okay, create vouchers. Then we are still then on the plugin. So what we see then on the plugin behind our buttons here is now a new entry here. This is the vouchers we created, or the LNUL codes we created. And to take a look at them, we use this little eye symbol, and this opens this dialog. And on this dialog, now you can't see it because there's something before it, but there's a little printer symbol. And because this is what we want to do, we want to print those codes out, right? So this vouchers out. So here it is. Yeah, so I press this printer button over there. And then it opens a new tab. And in this tab now you can see there are my voucher codes, and already in a way that I can see that are placed on a sheet. And what I do now is I go to my print function of my browser and I print those vouchers out. Because the idea is that you maybe want to stick them on something more complex. So we'll show you. There's the idea to maybe print them directly on some sticker paper. So for example, there are also on Amazon, you get those sticker paper. It's just one big sticker, and you put it in your printer and you print the vouchers on there, and after that you cut them out and have small little voucher stickers. Okay, so next step over here then is, again, like you cut it out, you have those little voucher stickers, and of course if you just give some people those QR codes, they may be a little bit confused. What is this? So you have to put a little bit more information around it. And here's the idea that you can have different, depends on where you now want to spread them. It can make sense to put them on different things. You can have them on small cards that just say, here are your free Satoshis, ask me about it or something, or scan with your phone. And you just then stick those QR codes on those on those small cards, and you can give them away at meetups very quickly. You can have them always in your pocket and give you away, and it's a good conversation starter. And for new people at the meetup, it's always great for something like that. Maybe you have an event or something where you want just people walking by to give them quickly something, so sort of, or put something at the bar for people maybe to read in 2 minutes about it and say, and then label, oh, let's try this out. So this could be, so you maybe want to use a flyer or something, and then describe a little bit more what maybe the basic steps to do or what you can do at the party or at the event with those Satoshis. So this is then maybe you have a flyer and you stick those QR codes on. Or maybe you don't meet the people at all, and you just want to spread them in your neighborhood, and then you just make a letter and explain a little bit more, and maybe you say also, oh, there are 2 shops in the area, you can try this out, and you have a little bit more information for people that really want to make a readout and then want to sit there in the morning, and oh yeah, that's interesting, and you put the stickers on that. So, and the good thing is we separated this bit. You just have stickers in the LM-Bits, and you can create those cards, those flyers, those letters in whatever software you want. Use your doc, use your Word for this, use your Google Docs, whatever fits you best, and you can put it into the language for that works for you and for your target group where you want to spread the vouchers. And again, you just put those little stickers on there. Of course, once you created it, I would always advise to test them so that you know it's working well. There's two things. Again, you would test both cases, scan them with mobile wallets to check if maybe the recommended wallet that you mentioned in your letter or in your flyer is really working good with that, and would also kind of test a little bit if the LM-Bits with us is really opening up this little temp wallet there. If you just scan and open the URL code, so that if everything's working fine on your Raspiblitz before you do the event or after you have printed it out. At the moment, there is still some little bugs we are fixing there. So you can already print out the vouchers, and it works with Wallet of Satoshi. I know I would like to recommend also other wallets like Zap or so forth, and I have to test it out. Maybe it's also still on our side, but maybe also it's still on the wallet side, because what we use here to have those both ways is using the LNURL fallback scheme. So it's not just this LNURL string that you normally have to just, but it's a HTTPS URL, and then there is the LNURL string somewhere in there. So it could work both ways. So you can scan it with a wallet that just takes the LNURL token and gets ready, or it's just a web browser and it opens up the web page. So this is part of the LNURL spec, and I have the feeling that not everybody who has implemented LNURL withdrawals really supports this. But this is really important part of the LNURL spec. It's really mentioned right at the beginning, the fallback scheme. So this is also now a community effort really to test or to get the LM-Bits correct. That is by default the correct fallback URL, and on the other side then to test the mobile wallets and maybe to push the one or the other mobile wallet developer out there to, if they haven't or missed this fallback thingy, to put this in. And I can say from a programmer perspective, this is just some lines of code. There's a few lines. It's not that complicated to put in there. So it should possibly be for everybody. So maybe it takes some weeks, maybe some months, so that all the mobile wallets are ready for this. But again, this is early stage here, so it's the right time to do exactly this. The Raspiblitz is at the moment is out with the 1.6, and it got all the all the IP2Tor stuff in there, the Let's Encrypt stuff. This is all the stuff you can already test out, and also please give feedback on this. Is this running stable for you? Is there something we can improve? The LM-Bits is already also on the 1.6, but again, on the LM-Bits, there are some smaller steps we are still now fixing. So you can uninstall it and reinstall it again. Then you get the latest version that we checked for Raspiblitz. And that would give you, for example, already this quick voucher button. But we are aiming for, with the next service release, with the Raspiblitz 1.61. This is kind of a service release for the Raspiblitz, that there should be all the essential bugs worked out, so that you really can start to test this in small testing groups. And again, start small, maybe just try it out in your meetups or with your friends or at home just for you, and then just see if this is working. Where stuff still not working, please report back to our Raspiblitz GitHub so that we can improve, especially fix the technical bugs. And then, of course, and this is really up for everybody, this whole experience, like how even the flyer designs, the letters, this is all stuff that we now have to figure out what works best, because this is social communication. And again, I tell you, like as a programmer, social communication, it's not easy to master. So and every community is a little bit different. So this is also nice, even if you're not a programmer, to contribute on those what works best and what experiment with this is very great contribution here to give feedback and exchange with other people, so that we find the sweet spots here, what works best for giving out this Lightning vouchers. I think those should cover Right, this covers the Lightning vouchers. So this is the first part of what you can do. You can give away free Satoshis. The other question is, if people have Satoshis, what can they do with them? So it would be very nice to combine those two things. Even have to warn at the moment, if you run both actions on your Raspiblitz, the LM Bits cannot pay itself that easily. This is also something we hope that will be possible in the future. So if you give vouchers out and then let people pay here with cash in the bag, this could be still a problem. Also good to try it out and see maybe what's to solve there. But that's the goal, to that you can do both from one Raspiblitz. At the moment, I would just advise to do one at a time. Second, because the second action you can do, also based on LM Bits, is onboarding merchants with a concept we call cash in the bag. It's not maybe the best name, but I think it's at least, you get it, you maybe start to get a picture and you remember it. The idea, the cash in the bag, for us, it seems to be a little bit the easiest way to onboard merchants accepting Bitcoin over Lightning at the moment. And then really, it's just an onboarding solution. It's not something you should scale up to big amounts or to 100 merchants or whatever. This is really just for your local merchant, maybe at your meetup, where you have your meetup to maybe, and they always wanted, no, I don't like to have it complicated to sell the Bitcoins or whatever, like to give them the easiest kind of entry possible. This is maybe the concept you want to look into, because it takes all the risk away from the merchant. There's nothing that needs to be changed in the merchant's register system or with the bookkeeping, because this is what a lot of merchants are very afraid of when they hear Bitcoin, or what would be hard with the IRS, whatever, like it's all hard. So this tries to keep this simple, and there's no costs and investments for the merchant. Of course, somebody has to take the risk, and that's you. But I will give you an overview what this means, because you kind of take into a little bit the financial risk and the trust risk, and you take over the managing kind of all the background infrastructure for Lightning with liquidity, inbound, good connection to the network. This is what you're doing with your normal node management, and with the LM Bits and the cash in the bag, you can make it for merchant very easy to utilize your setup kind of to accept Bitcoin and get cash in the end. So this is what we will see. So you can even could do multiple merchants with one Raspiblitz, or but to keep this simple now, just talk about one. But in the future, you should be able to have multiple merchants with one Raspiblitz. So first way to start is find a small merchant in your area, maybe not a big chain, maybe some really small mom pop shop that you have a good connection to and you have a good feeling, and maybe you know the person a little bit, or you're a regular customer at least, so that you have at least some trust level there, because we have to decide on your risk level, because what you do is you will upfront fiat cash. You will have a bag, you put some cash in there, and you will give it to this merchant in the beginning. So can you run away? Yes. Can you say, I never got your bag? Yes. So this is, again, so it should be, but it's your local merchant. So there's some, and you can really start low, for example, like with $10 US or something. So don't get too crazy in the beginning, just as experimental, and it's just about onboarding to have this for small amounts. So it should be possible to make the risk of $10 US here. Beside your Raspiblitz and that cash, you need a bag, but that's quite cheap. You put the cash in there, and the bag should fit best in the register of the merchant. And we would need a paper card that we call the cashier's instructions with a QR code on there, but this is also something you can print out with LM Bits, so we'll show you in a minute. And this is all you need. So if you're willing to risk a little bit cash here, or have a little bit financial risk, and you have a Raspiblitz running, this is something for you, and you can invest into a bag. This is something to try out. So first, let's get started. Let's build this up. So what we need is this cashier's card, right? So this cashier's guide card. You can print it out yourself. We have at the moment there one PDF you can find it on the GitHub in the directory home.admin assets, and there's the cashier guide PDF, and it has a front and the back, and you print it out, of course, so a little sticker paper, so that of course it has a front and a back printing, and then you can take this, you cut it out and you put it into the bag. We have to say this is a contribution already to this concept, but of course, if this is not fitting your case, maybe because of language or whatever, you're absolutely free to build your own kind of card and invite it, of course, then to share. Always keep in mind it needs to fit into the bag, and the bag should fit into a register. And normally in the register, it's about the size of a bill, so of a cash bill or something. So keep in that kind of size area. But then you have printed this out, and we will go through this step by step, the process later. But now you have your card printed out. Next step, you go to the LM bits, and again, make sure that you call the LM bits over the IP tutor Let's Encrypt address, so that you're really creating the correct links here. Then you will enter a wallet here. You can call it like merchant wallet. Then you press Add New Wallet. And again, think about bookmarking this one for you so you can find it back again or call it back again easily later on. Then again, in this wallet that is created, go to Manage Extensions, and this time we will need the TPOS extension, and there click on Enable. Enable will turn into Open, and you click Open, and then the TPOS extension or plugin will open. So when you're here on the TPOS plugin, you just click the button New TPOS. Here this form comes up, and you give it a name like Merchant 1, or maybe even the name of the store. Just put it in there. Then you select the wallet where the funds should go to if somebody pays at the store. This is the wallet that we just created here. You don't need to fund it first, because this is now about receiving, not about sending or giving out funds. So you just pick it here and pick the merchant wallet we created in the step before. Then you choose your currency. So there's at the moment a list of a lot of currency with conversion rates. Just pick one that fits for you here, and in my area it's euro. Okay, so create this TPOS now. Then again, in the TPOS plugin, I can see now a new entry over here. This is the TPOS I created, and there's this little button over here. And if I click this one, a new tab comes open, and this temporary wallet opens. So you can already try it out if this is working here. Basically, this is just like simple down like a calculator. You punch in the number, how much do you want to receive, and you say okay, you get an invoice, you pay this invoice, and this should then work. Again, self-payments are not that easy, so you should try this payment. If you pay this your TPOS, you should try it from some external wallet to get the experience. Okay, this is just testing. What we really need here is the URL that is now here to see. This is the web URL, and this is publicly available, so everybody else there can call it. We need to this whole URL. We copy that, and the next step will still be a little bit messy, but stick with us. We also hope in the future to ease out the steps. There's a lot of errors here, I know. And we need to use a shared service here. That's also not optimal. This is also something to optimize in the future. But just to show you, to get the prototype ready, to show you that how the prototype works, and so you can experiment with it, I will go through with you here step by step. So what we use is the QR code generator.com. At least that's one I can say this is easy possibly here. So you call this website, and then first of all you say I have a URL over here. Then you paste the URL we copied from our TPOS into this form over here. Then we click Save over here. This will then store this QR code image. We have to give it a name and say with PNG, for example, and we save it. Now we have this saved image on our desktop. That's good. Last step, what we should do is we use this function over here, shorten URL. And this will just make this long link, the long URL we put there, make a short one, and you will just kind of write this down quickly. And we call this is the generated short link. I know this is based now on a third party, but it's more like a fallback now to test the prototype in the store. This can be maybe substituted later with something that runs even on your Raspiblitz. We have to see. Okay, so the next step is we have now stored this QR code, right, as a file. So we take out the card we printed out before. We print out the QR code image. So in that size that it will fit in this white box over here. So you maybe have to experiment with like 55% or 75% or something. You print it out until it's in the right size. Then you cut it out and you stick it on this white box so that the QR code is now on the back of the card. And there's another room over here, and this is where you just write into the short link. The idea is that as I told you, my Samsung S9 can very easily, with a standard camera app, open this link in the QR code, but maybe all the phones don't have it, and maybe people don't have a QR code scanner installed. So just for fallback to open this TPOS on a smartphone, we need a short link that somebody can easily type in and just put it here as a fallback, the generated short link we did with the QR code generator over there. So then you have your card ready, and you put this card back into the bag. So, and now you have your setup ready. I know, sorry, this QR code thing was a little bit maybe a bit confusing, and again, we will hope to smooth that out, but that's the basic setup. You have your bag, you have your cash in there, you put the card into the bag. Now you go into the local store, talk to your merchant, we want to accept Bitcoin. They have the bag, and they have to put the bag somewhere in their cash here, in their register, just lying there. And best would be maybe to put a sticker up front so that people maybe know that you can pay with Bitcoin over Lightning there. So you're now kind of ready. Let's see how it works, right? We want to now see how is the customer experience, how is it really working in everyday life, now paying in the store with this setup we gave them. So customer walks into a store and wants to buy something for €2. I don't know, something small. So at least for €2. Again, this needs to be below the cash that you upfronted in. So keep that in mind. So for €2. So customers saw the sticker sign on the store like they accept Bitcoin over Lightning. So we asked if you can pay with Bitcoin over Lightning. The cashier is maybe not the owner of the store, maybe somebody just helping out there, but he maybe recognized already that there is something in the register, and I have it here, for example, I have the cash on the back, and I put a Bitcoin sticker on there. So at least, even if the owner was not telling the clerk or the cashier that there is this option, maybe there's something, okay, yeah, there was something with a bag. Okay, I get it. So he takes out this bag now up from the register, takes out the cashier's guide card, and just follows the steps that are written on there. Scan the QR code on the back and enter the amount to be paid. So, okay. Next step, you turn the card, you scan the QR code. Here again, it's maybe the fallback if the scanning is not working. But what we have now is the cashier has a smartphone entered or opened this TPOS, so this website that is now served from our Raspiblitz, and just enters here the amount, like, okay, 200, okay. And you see, when you enter the amount, you see the conversion into Satoshis. So if you press OK now, so an invoice is generated in the TPOS. The cashier shows this to the customer. The customer has his Lightning mobile wallet, now pays this. And once this is paid, this form closes, and you see a small, this could be bigger, but you see at the moment, you see the small Satoshis received confirmation here. So this is okay. So the cashier is looking back at the card for the last step. And the last step is now, because the customer paid in Bitcoin, that the cashier takes the money out of the bag and takes a kind of, tries to get the fitting amount out of there and puts the change back and puts the amount, the €2 we're talking about, now into the official register. The rest, the change, keeps all in the bag, but these €2 are now in the register. So, and the cashier now just turns it normally in, like we would put in the register, whatever he does, like on a normal cash transactions, gives a receipt, whatever, and gives the item to the customer, and this is done. So there's something new in here, of course, but you can see it's a very easy kind of way to onboard people for small payments. It's done. Now this customer paid with Bitcoin in the store. So at least this is, I think, from our perspective, one very, very easy way to start it. Some notes here. Of course, it's an agreement with the merchant that all the cash in the bag still belongs to you. So this is you upfront the cash for the bag, but in the end you could like every time walk into the store and say, come on, let's my Raspiblitz is kind of not online anymore, whatever, this is not working, I take this bag back. So this is an agreement with the merchant based on trust. So keep that in mind. On the LMBits wallet, of the LMBits wallet you created, you can see the incoming transactions. So every time everybody pays at the store, you can see, because it's paid to your Raspiblitz and into that LMBits account, you can see if you on the listing of transactions, you can see TPOS paid that amount of Satoshis. So and the good thing is, like, every Satoshis that's coming to your Raspiblitz is your Satoshis, because you reimbursed the merchant with that he was able to take out the cash out of the bag, put it in his register. So all Satoshis now are yours. So you're in the end, you bought, and this is still a question, the Satoshis or the Bitcoin from the merchant right at the second where the stuff is happening, or you bought it directly from the customers. That's not exactly clear, but at least this was instant in that transaction. So the merchant never has to touch this Bitcoin in his bookkeeping for that kind of reason, and everything stays the same. You may need from time to time, of course, go into the store and refill it. So if we have just 10 euros there, and now I paid with 2 euros, the next customer can just pay at the maximum with 8 euros in that store. So this is also something to keep in mind, and also maybe something to be integrated better into the TPOS plugin or in the LMBits plugin, that it even maybe not allows you to pay more. This is something where it maybe still can end up in a confusion. So it would be great if the TPOS would even just allow payments that are equal with the what still cash is in the bag. The Raspiblitz 1.61 will have hopefully everything then ready for you to try this out on a small scale and kind of early testing. Even it should work with the 1.6, because there's basically with the IP tutorial you have this already. This should something for you, even that something you can try out. And again, help us here. You're very, very much invited here to help us out, to test this out. It's a very new concept, improve the process, especially on the social communication side, how to talk with a merchant, maybe to have customized cards, exchange those kind of cards, whatever you maybe want to put into the store, to signal people that you can pay with Lightning here. So there's a lot of stuff around the technical concept that is very much appreciated if people contribute here. But of course, if you can code, and you can code some Python and some JavaScript, you're very, very much welcome to help out on improving the kind of LMBits side, because the LMBits is kind of working with is programmed in Python, and of course there's some JavaScript because there's some web front and stuff happening. So if you like to smooth out and optimize those plugins, I even made with Ben from LMBits, I made a video how to get started with LMBits plugin development, and maybe to change an existing plugin or maybe connect different plugins together. This could be a good starting point. If you're interested in that, I'm happy to point you into the right direction. And again, if you have any kind of ideas how to improve this or give feedback on it on first testing, go to our GitHub issues and let us know. And again, if you're very, very techy and like to tinker, then you're already invited to go with the 1.6. If you like to have it the most technical stuff worked out, maybe wait still to the 1.61 that should come out in the kind of next weeks, where we then hopefully have all those little last things kind of ironed out for you, and then you can start small scale trying it out more on the social and concept in your local community. Okay, so I think this is all, folks. So any questions here in the room or on social or something about this? I think we will make the slides available. So I think I will put about this Raspiblitz for communities, so the vouchers and the cash in the bag. I will put a link in the on the website raspiblitz.org. Should be up in kind of next day. So if you want to go through the slides again, even on the other kind of topics, maybe it should be then there for you to also check. But also these videos will be published, so this is also something to check out. Okay, so
something came to my mind just to mention that basically regarding IP tutor, we had this duck DNS service used for the certificate and also what people use. If you're not happy with that, we can integrate other dynamic DNS providers. If you want to help us, we're happy to take any contributions. But keep in mind, you can also use your own domain. If you already have a domain, you can also use this domain. That's not too hard to set up, just so that you're aware, because this is, of course, public facing. And just keep in mind, yeah, it doesn't have to be just DuckDNS. If you have your own domain, we work too with IP2Tor and Let's Encrypt.
Yeah, that's right. But just to keep in mind, just to have some custom domain is still a little bit works, and maybe not. So maybe it breaks the process setups here and there a bit, and you have to really do a lot of this manual work. Integrating really addendum as other kind of providers that also support this Acme script with DNS validation, that would be perfect. So we have a little bit more maybe to choose for you to on that kind of side. All
awesome.
Right.
So you guys, thank you so much for coming on and sharing. If you want to stop the screen share, that'd be great. Why don't we close out with each of you kind of letting the audience know where they can find you. Obviously, you've already explained a lot of different ways that they can work with and interact with Raspberry-Blitz. So yeah, where can people find you, Rutzel? Then we can go to OpenOMS, and then finally Frankie, and then want to remind everyone else before we close out, make sure to subscribe to Bitcoin Magazine YouTube. Make sure to pound that like button and share this great stuff. We're going to be cutting up each section and making it available in the next 2 days. And then, like Rutzel already said, the slides are going to be made available as well. So thanks for everyone who watched. Hope this was super helpful and useful. And yeah, I'll hand it off to you, Rutzel.
All right, thanks. Yeah, best is to reach me, I think, on Twitter. So it's a root, it's all like you can see on the screen. So that's the easy way to follow there, even if you want to keep up on latest developments on the Raspberries for community concepts and in Raspberries in general. This is, I think, good to follow. So Twitter is the best kind of way, and GitHub, of course. OpenOMS.
Yeah, right. Well, I've already told on my nickname, you can find me on Twitter, Telegram, and Keybase/OMS. And most of the things are linked there as well. So, happy to speak about anything really.
Yeah, I'm Frankie on GitHub and also on Twitter. If you want to donate, there's now a barcode there. You can donate 42 Satoshis for my Raspiblitz. Yeah, mainly I'm on GitHub, Frankie.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for all the time and staying up super late. I know it's a different part of the world for you guys than us here in North America, so much appreciated. Yeah, well, with that, we'll just close it out. Thanks again.